Hello and welcome. If you're just clicking on the video, I greatly appreciate it. I hope your night is going fantastic. If you're new here, welcome aboard. I've just been doing spaceship work and listening to this. Oh, good idea. I should take a dab. I haven't smoked. I literally don't. Oh, yeah, look at the cam. Yeah, I literally don't know what I'm doing. Don't know what anybody wants to watch. Don't know what will get people to watch. It used to be people would come by and hang out and chill, but I'm clueless now, so I don't know.
Or had only been dropped off into the water a few moments ago. I tied a line to him and started to head back up to the surface so I can get the boat team to haul up the body. So I swim up, letting the line play out behind me until I reach my first safety stop. While I'm waiting for my body to decompress so I can head further up, I notice that the spool of line is still being pulled out even though I've stopped. It's completely taut and rolling straight down at a blistering speed. It takes me about half a second to realize that my reel is about to run out and I'm about to be sucked down by the line. There's a good 900 plus feet on my line, and the speed it was being reeled out was so tremendous that as soon as I tried to grab it, my hand was split almost completely open to the bone. In retrospect, that was a dumb thing to do, but it was just basic instinct to grab the rope and try to cut it with my knife. I get a sudden IQ boost and instead cut the straps holding the reel to my suit a few
Some
seconds
hightail?
before the
Maybe.
line
I don't know if I'm down for a game.
murky water within about half a second. I feel as if the force of the whiplash alone would have been strong enough to break my back and kill me if I hadn't cut the straps.
I feel like I don't
I'm
have
pretty
time
shaken
for a
at this
game.
point, more shaken than I've been since I found my first dead kid. But still, I managed to ascend slowly and take my safety stops despite the pain, fear, and of course all the blood leaking out of my hand. Good thing this was a freshwater dive, or I might have been in real trouble on my way up. Anyway, my knee-jerk reaction and what everyone else told me was that it was narcosis-fueled hallucinations. Divers see all sorts of shit when narcosis kicks in. I've heard stories of fish and squid with human faces. Some guy swears he was face-to-face with Cthulhu. My point is, narcosis is, to an extent, like temporarily being on DMT, and it can make you see some absolutely crazy shit. The thing I can't make sense of is how I got the cut on my hand. It's clearly from a rope. It's not
Yeah,
clean
some
enough
of
to be
that
from my knife
stuff,
or any
it's-
other sharp object. The doctor even noted that I have
I just don't even know. I wasn't even gonna go live tonight. It was gonna be the first night.
And if I wasn't
I didn't go
hallucinating,
live in
what
who
the
knows
fuck
how
could drag
long.
out a line that fast? What really keeps me
I
up
saw
at night
Shadow
is that the guy
subscription
was resting on the bottom
go
of
off.
the
I was
lake,
like, damn.
and my line was going straight down. So
There
either
are a
he was
select
pulled
few
through the
that
bottom of the lake, or
they
something
literally
with incredible
pay to
strength
support
and
this.
speed grabbed my rope and was reeling me in like a fish.
I don't want to
I'm not sure which is worse.
just not do it one night
For anyone
because
out there
everybody's
who
gone.
liked the stories from my old friend Frank, you're in
Whatever
for a
happened to
treat.
Wonkle?
I visited him yesterday and got him to spin me a few
There's so
new
many
yarns
people
that
in
I
there.
think
I don't
you guys
even
will
know.
love. This story is one of his from
Loved it, and it's this too. Did you see this, FB? Look at it. Like made 3 people unsubscribe, and then literally the next day, just games, bro. I don't even fucking pay
back before he
attention to
left
it.
commercial diving to be an instructor. Frank was doing a fairly normal job. Basic rig inspection.
How I
on
can
a
have
jack-up
over
rig,
1,000 subscribers
inspecting
and
the gears and
FB is
pinions
the
before they
singular
moved
person
to the
to
next drill
see my
site.
posts.
The
I have
depth
no
was an
clue.
extreme end for a jack-up rig, just under 600 feet. I say this is extreme for a jack-up rig, but that's because it's a portable rig with legs that sit on the bottom of the seafloor, so it can't drill as deep as a floating rig. As Frank was doing the inspection, he felt something like a long rope brush the top of his head. He twisted around and saw what he describes as the biggest squid he's ever seen in his life, floating aimlessly in the current. The body was massive, with ears near its head, and nearly a dozen long, thin tentacles that stretched down so far you lost sight of them in the gloom. Frank stared at it a bit, both in awe and fear. I did some research, and he was never in any danger. This particular type of squid is likely passive and uses its long tentacles to feed on plankton. One
How
thing
was
that is
that
odd
so
is the
big
depth
and
at
nothing
which the
came
squid
out?
was at. And squid are normally found at much lower depths. Frank watched the squid for a few minutes as it floated nearby, then turned back to his inspection. After a few minutes, he looked back, and it was gone. He looked all around, but he couldn't find a trace of it. That species of squid are rarely seen, and little is known of them, but they have never been observed to move at high speeds. You might want to sit this next one out if you have a combined phobia of the deep sea and spiders.
Oh.
Now, spiders aren't the sort of thing that you'd
Sounds like
encounter
me.
in the ocean. I know there are aquatic spider species, but those usually are very small and live in ponds. Spiders aren't something you'd think to be seen at, say, the bottom of the ocean. Well, I'm here to inform you that sea spiders absolutely do exist. They're mostly harmless, but then again, so are most land spiders. They're long, gangly things that are all legs with 2 grasping arms and a proboscis for sucking up their prey's insides. Not supposed to get any bigger than about 2 feet in diameter. And I say not supposed to because lots of strange things seem to happen at the bottom of the ocean. Our intrepid diver in this story was after
You
some
know what
sunken
install
treasure and
Borderlands
just
2
dove to
RN.
investigate what he hoped was
Yeah.
an undiscovered wreck that he had spotted on sonar. He
If we
descended
boot
to
up
the
a
bottom,
game, I
but
might
to
boot
his
up
dismay,
Fallout
the
New
wreck was
Vegas
simply
just
a
because I
strange
recently
rock
installed
formation
that and
on
I've
the
been
bottom.
meaning to.
Disappointed, he prepared to ascend.
But yes, we should do some
Just as he checked
Borderlands.
his
Yeah,
dive
I
gear,
would.
he noticed something
Borderlands
out of the
2
corner
would
of
be
his eye.
fun.
A massive wall of sand approaching from behind him.
How
Underwater
much have you
sandstorms
played,
aren't
FB? Have you
anything
like
unusual.
gun
They're just like
farmed a
sandstorms
lot?
above
Dude,
water,
I've got
except
some like
significantly more
really
wet.
good rare guns
It's just
and
currents stirring up the
shit in
sediments and
Borderlands
throwing
2
them
that I
around.
like
Our friend
farmed
managed to grab
for
onto a rock and hold his position
forever
steady
to
as the current
get.
slowly faded, leaving only murky waters filled with sediment. Letting
I
go of the
used
rock,
to
he turned
collect
up on it
sniper
and came
rifles. I
face
used to go
face
for
with a
like
large
the
terracotta
best
nail on the
legendary
end of a
sniper
long
rifles you could
transparent
find.
tube. The tube stretched up and vanished into the
If it was a
murk,
sniper
seemingly
and had high
10
crit,
feet.
I was fucking
Now, the diver
farming
was
for
getting
it.
spooked, so he went back to the bottom and swam along the ocean floor for a while to bypass whatever had skewered the fish.
What is the name of that rocket launcher in Borderlands 2? The really rare one I had to farm that Black Widow, that rare Black Widow thing for. It's like called the Badunk or something rare. Borderlands 2 rocket launcher. There it is. Wait.
What's going on, guys?
Puma
This is
Gaming.
finally
Oh
Puma.
my gosh,
It's been
I
a little
miss
while
these
since I made a
days.
top 10 video, but
The
then
Hive.
home in on enemies.
Oh yeah,
Unfortunately,
I always
you won't be
wanted
able to
a
get this thing in
Hive.
all elements, but you will find that the Hive is a
The
great
Nukem. I
Nukem
had
is,
I
for the
had
most
one of
part,
the. I had a
pretty
really good
rocket
Nukem.
launcher. Unlike its non-unique counterparts, which fire a more conventional rocket, the Nukem fires a projectile in an arc that then explodes, emitting a mushroom cloud and a nova-like shockwave in the process. The closer foes are to the center of the blast, the more damage that's dealt, while the further enemies are from the blast, the less damage that's dealt. Though the Nukem's Nova/Shockwave increases the likelihood that you'll successfully hit what you fire at, I think the damage variance that can occur based on the target's distance from the center of the blast can make using the Nukem difficult. Add on the fact
Oh yeah, what's that one pistol you shoot yourself
distance
with?
from the center of the blast, I think the damage variance
It's a Hyperion. What? Oh, I
that
totally
can occur
forget.
based on the
I used to
target's
know all
distance
of
from
this
the
shit.
center of the blast can make using the nukem difficult. It doesn't translate
Ahab.
into the Ahab
Oh,
being the
yeah, I
strongest
never got
of the
one of
Torgue rocket
those.
launchers. This is in part due to the Ahab's somewhat limited range, but it also comes down to the non-elemental damage that it primarily deals. Unlike conventional explosive damage like you might see on most Torgue weapons, this damage can't be boosted by explosive elemental relics, and given that the non-elemental damage
Oh, the
is
fight for
resisted
your
by
life
armor,
mechanic was
it
so
limits
cool.
the Ahab's capabilities against low.
I have yet to gun farm, but I'm thinking I might go through. Dude, you should. That's how it works. Yeah, like you start going through
This said, though,
playthrough
the
and play in
harpoon
badass
projectiles are
levels, and
definitely
then
fun to use, and while they
you
require a
realize
bit
that,
more
oh, wait a
accuracy than
second,
what's
I can now
required for
kill
other
this
weapons,
boss in like 2
I'd say
seconds,
it's
and then
not
you just
really
start farming
so much
them.
so to where the Ahab is
Waiting for
impossible
like
to
the
use.
gun you want, man.
And also, if you do decide that you hate the Ahab as a conventional rocket launcher, you can always just
I had a really good one. Oh, the derp. That's right. Creamer?
percentage, and assuming you're able to properly gauge the
Oh,
damage
of
at
course,
which
it's a
the initial
Moxie.
projectile
That's funny.
explodes, the
The
creamer,
creamer.
could actually allow you to deal more damage than what's listed, as each split projectile deals 80% the damage and has the advantage of basically being a better version of the Nukem with very low ammo consumption. After all, the Nukem
Yeah, I
can
get that
only
then.
fire maybe
World
1
burn?
or 2 shots before needing to reload. The launchers is that they have the ability to allow the player to fire rockets
A
that don't consume
Topnia.
ammo.
That's
This is an
right. I
ability that's
remember
shared by
the.
the Vladov Topnia, which just so happens to be the E-Tech variant of your standard Vladov launcher. Like most of its other E-Tech brethren, with the exception of the Bandit variant, the Topnia has the signature blue orb cataclysm effect that's reminiscent of the BFG from Doom, in that it covers a huge blast radius and deals a ton of damage. However, what I think sets the Topnia apart and makes it the best non-unique E-Tech launcher is that it possesses a high fire rate and possesses the chance to not consume ammo that you see on other Vladov launchers. This allows the Bada Boom, like the
Bada
World
boom.
Burn, has relatively low ammo consumption per shot and a high magazine size when compared to other rocket launchers. However, and unlike the World Burn, the Bada Boom has the advantage of being able to come in multiple elements, which ends up making it a more versatile option,
Oh,
assuming
really?
you can get it in multiple elements. Your best bet is to farm King Mong, who is good in the pre-sequel, but it's not quite as good.
Mongol. I think I have
to be
one of
honest,
those.
The Mongol isn't either. The Mongol is pretty good. Really, to be honest, the Mongol isn't either. The Mongol.
What was
So
the other
let's
one?
go ahead and declare quite as good in Borderlands 2. Mongol is pretty good in the
Show the
pre-sequel,
one that you-
but it's not quite as good in Borderlands 2. So let's go ahead and promise you guys that the bunny would not be number 1. And really, to be honest, the Mongol isn't either. The Mongol is pretty good in the pre-sequel, but it's not quite as good in Borderlands 2. So let's go ahead and declare our actual number 1, which is going to be
The
Church,
Norfleet.
but it also
Oh my
possesses
gosh,
really
I
high
can't
base
believe I
damage
remember
and a 3
these.
projectile multiplier, ensuring that whatever enemies can't escape will either
SMGs
be
and
really hurt
rifles.
or will
Dude, yeah,
basically
SMGs
be
were
vaporized.
fucking cool too, man.
In a way, I think you could say that the Norfleet is essentially perfect. Thanks to its powerful damage output and the fact that it can deal all that damage over a large area.
I remember finding good assault rifles is really hard. FB. I remember
Yeah,
assault
you
rifles
can
was
use
like the most
back to
slept
some of
on.
the other
Or I
launchers
shouldn't
that
say
are
slept
available.
on. Like
As far as acquisition goes,
I remember there being
there
a lot
are
of
plenty
really
ways to get
good,
your
like
hands on a
sought after
Norfleet.
things
If
for
you're a
assault
solo
rifles.
player, I'd recommend you farm Hyperius from the Captain Scarlet DLC, as he will be the best potential drop source in that scenario. Assuming you have some friends,
Oh my
though, and
gosh,
you're
I
willing to try
forgot
and
about
spawn
that.
Vermivorous, then that's the vanilla game boss that the Norfleet normally spawns from, and in
Yeah,
that
there's bosses that I couldn't even farm FB. There was like at least 1 or 2 that were like so hard that it's like to effectively farm it, you need a person or 2. What up, Drew?
According to his description, the leg was skinny proportionally,
From
but
the
still
crate.
about a quarter of a
Oh
foot in
yeah,
diameter,
you do
and
that,
stretched up into
dude.
the
Look
murk
up
above him.
like
He stared up at
Doc.
it
Did
for
you
a few
face the
seconds,
boss
then
Doc
began
yet?
to ever so slowly
He
move,
drops an
gripping the
infinity
ocean
pistol if you
floor as
farm
it moved the
him
rest
a
of
few
the mass
times.
that
If you
must
do a
have hung
save right
suspended
next to
above,
where
hidden
there's a
in the
spawn
mud.
near him, and you can
The
run
thing
him a few
moving
times and
spooked
get
our friendly
an
treasure hunter
infinite
enough for him to
ammo,
probably
awesome
break
pistol.
a couple Olympic records in his mad dash/swim to safety. Fortunately, he retained enough sense to wait at his safety stops, though
Let's
I
take
can
another
hardly
dab.
blame him for being scared after seeing a giant
I'll go
underwater
in,
spider.
man.
This next story is one of mine. It's a bit mundane as far as the stories in these threads usually go.
I'm gonna take another day. I want to watch my own short again really quickly because I'm bummed people didn't get to see this. I gotta get better clips though. Steel Battalion. Man, it's like nobody even saw it. There it is. One subscriber. Don't know who that was. Dude, that is statistically unlikely. There is no way. There is no fucking way that you only showed a short form content to 3 individuals and one of them being already somebody said subscribe. There's no way. That is fake. That is so unlikely. I cannot believe that. I gotta do zooms on the controller too. That's sick. Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw the other one too, but I put it out there. It's kind of stupid. I just put it out there to put something out there. But look, it's a little better now. I've worked on it a little more, but the particle effects are kind of hard to show live because they're pretty processor intensive. But look it, I forgot that I can do smoke and shit like that now. I need to work on my muzzle flash. Because I've only done lasers before. I need to do like my own fiery shape and stuff, not like a laser. You know, I need to custom make my own thing. I bet there's presets out there I could find too, but I'm gonna try to make my own. But not bad for a first 10-minute try because I remembered that I have smoke. I need to make the smoke hang around for a little longer. It would be like rolling back. It wouldn't disappear that quick. That much of it wouldn't disappear that quick. Yeah, that's the little longer. You know what? I want to see it in the full resolution. I don't give a shit, man. YouTube punishes me for watching and liking my own shit. Nobody else does. Oh, whoops.
Nothing supernatural or unknown at all. Just a normal dive with normal sea life. You might have noticed that the fish that
I didn't even get to show you guys either. Dude, you guys should see. I
barracuda, and you guessed it.
I built a giant snow pile in my backyard. I literally just started shoveling all the snow in the backyard into a pile. It looks like I'm like trying to get the snow out of my backyard or something to anybody that's looking. But I've got this really cool ramp figured out going up the side of it, like a platform on top. I just tested it with the front end loader and a few of the other ones, and they can do it, but I need to make the road a little wider on some of the turns.
Granted, is somewhat warranted. They can get big,
Seeing the dam.
around 7 feet long, and they
We'll
have
figure
a
out what we're
mouthful
doing.
of giant razor-sharp
I need to
teeth that
cut
can
this
shred
piece of wood and
flesh
glue
like
up
knives, and they have
another
a
pieces of
tendency to hunt
paneling.
in massive packs. Oh, and there are all sorts of stories of people getting mauled by them. The truth is, barracuda have been
Oh my
somewhat
gosh, my
maligned by the
arms
media
and shit,
rumor
bro.
mill.
I've been
They
going
rarely
so
attack
hard.
humans. Most cases of
Getting
attacks are
cars
due to the fish
unstuck,
mistaking a shiny,
shoveling.
big object like a necklace or
I'm pretty
bracelet
sure
for
I
food,
almost got
or
frostbite.
spear
Oh,
fishermen
sorry, the
trying to
camera is so
wrestle their
low.
catch away from an
It is
uncooperative
like
fish.
negative.
Of course,
It's
those
negative
are all the
11 right now
rationalizations that was running through my
outside,
head
and
when
I
a
didn't
pack
even
of
know.
6-foot
I was just
long
outside
barracuda
trying to do
began
shit with
shadowing me
snow
on
and
a nighttime
RCs,
dive.
and I was like,
Why
man,
was
my
I diving at
fingers are
night,
like
you might ask? Why the fuck would
hurting.
any sane
It's
man
so
do that?
cold,
I don't
and when
have an
I,
answer to
dude,
that
there's
question,
like,
other than that I think anyone who has ever dove at the bottom of the ocean as part of their job
I think
probably
I almost
is a
got
little bit crazy.
frostbite, bro. It
I
is.
spotted their eyes first with my
cold.
flashlight, silver gleaming dots in the distance. I immediately switched off my light and went dark for a bit, hoping they wouldn't notice me. Because the last thing you want when you are swimming alone deep in the ocean late at night is to get noticed by a pack of large predatory fish. After a few minutes I turned on my light again and almost shit myself when I saw the very big eye and also the very big teeth of one of the barracuda right next to me. And yeah, they're not supposed to hunt humans, but that didn't make me feel any better. These things were big, mean as hell looking killing machines, and if they decided that I was lunch for whatever reason, then I would be lunch. There's no getting away from a pack of 6 feet silver torpedoes with razor sharp teeth, so I very slowly
Yeah, they're
and carefully
big.
turned around and headed back up, having decided I'd seen enough of the ocean for that night. My escorts tagged along, all 8 of them. They never harmed me, and I'm not sure why they were following me. Could have been pure curiosity. I've had a lot of fish swim by to check out my light when I'm diving/welding underwater. Not really the typical story I post here, but it was a very spooky experience for me, to be followed by these very large deep-sea predators.
Dude, and I feel like fish are freaky because you don't know what they're fucking thinking. You know, I can't even put my brain in place of a barracuda, a pack of barracuda. Is that curiosity, or do you think that they were maybe sizing that dude up, ready to rip him to pieces? Bro, that is fucking scary. Barracuda, especially if it's a pack. If it's like, if I didn't know they do that. I know if it's like a singular barracuda, it'd be like, oh, freaky, but I could, bop you or something. But like a group of them, fuck no, that is, dude.
This next story isn't from a diver, rather a guy who was working on
Dude,
one
yeah,
of those
Drew.
big
I had
cruise
like
vacation
big
ships.
wool
It was the
mittens
tail end of the
instead, and
trip, and
they
most of the
didn't last
passengers
long.
were either drinking
Like
or
my
asleep.
favorite winter gloves
This guy
ever.
was a cook and had finished
You
his
need like
shift. He was just
Arctic
relaxing on
gear
deck
right
and
now
watching
for
the glowing dolphins
being in
swimming
Michigan.
through the water beside the ship.
Out of
If that threw you for a
nowhere
loop,
too, wasn't
there's
it
this
just
type
like
of
almost
plankton
fucking
that glows when
summer
it moves,
2 weeks
creating
ago?
this mesmerizing glow around any moving objects nearby. It's cool as fuck, and I would highly recommend anyone
Fuck-ass
interested in the sea
state.
to take a vacation to a place that has glowing beaches.
Oh, I gotta
It's cool
reheat
as
this.
fuck and also very romantic. Explanation
Yeah, the
aside, our
Maldives.
intrepid cook was sitting out on the
Are there
railing,
other places
watching
that
the
have
dolphins
those?
leave glowing trails through the water beside the boat. It's the sort of thing that makes working at sea worth all the boredom and loneliness worth it. Unfortunately, after a few minutes, the dolphins left and the chef was alone with his thoughts. Which is when he noticed that there was now something else swimming alongside the boat. Whatever it was big. He couldn't see the shape too clearly because it was a fair ways below the surface, but the glowing plankton gave him a rough view of the outline. He described it as long, serpentine in shape, and at least 100 feet long, if not longer. He watched it follow the ship for a ways before it dove further down and out of sight. Continuing on with the themes of lights underwater, I have another story from the same
I
cook.
hate the ocean.
There's not much to this one, but I think it's still interesting. He claimed to have seen on
It's so
multiple
cool, but so
occasions
scary.
inexplicable glowing lights coming from below the ocean. Different colors, sometimes glowing red, green, or yellow. He described it as something completely different from the glowing plankton. The lights would appear and disappear. Sometimes they would blink or flash. Some of them would remain in place. Others would follow the ship or move in erratic patterns. Once he got close enough to get a better look and saw a glowing orb floating just above the ocean's surface, which then shot away from a boat at extremely high speeds. I've heard of similar things from lots of sailors, and I've never heard of a satisfactory scientific explanation. So much about the sea, even on the surface, still remains unknown. Last story for now before I have to leave for a bit. This is another one from Frank, and it's a good one. During his time as a commercial diver on the West Coast, Frank made a friend. And with a friend like this, who needs enemies? Frank first met his friend while doing a basic maintenance checkup on the local marina. He was checking on the moorings and making sure they were in good condition when he noticed something strange. One of the mooring chains appeared to be sticking straight out of a large rock on the ocean floor. Frank moved in to take a look, and sure enough, the chain was somehow embedded in the rock. Perplexed, Frank felt around where the chain entered the rock and noticed something even stranger. The rock felt distinctly unlike a rock. In fact, it felt very soft and squishy, and it was looking at him. The color of the rock suddenly flashed to white, and then the entire thing vanished in a cloud of dark ink. You might have guessed it at this point, but Frank's friend is a Pacific giant octopus. They can weigh around 600 pounds, and if measured from tentacle to tentacle, can grow over 30 feet in diameter. They also have the ability to change color of every cell in their body, allowing them to mimic nearly any object on the seafloor. They're big.
Who knew that a fucking octopus can get up to 600 pounds? What?
Next to
Bro,
invisible
that's
and can be
30
very
feet?
smart. So it was fortunate for Frank
That would
this
be
particular
fucking
octopus, who he named
huge.
Frederick, was just another prankster and not a serial killer, like some reports of giant octopus I've heard. Over the next few months, Frank would encounter Frederick on various dives, imitating some strange object, flashing light upon being discovered, and swimming away in a cloud of ink. After a while, Frank simply assumed that anything strange he saw was just Frederick playing a prank on him and ignored him, which would lead to Frederick tickling the back of his head while he wasn't looking or playing with the valves on his equipment. After being ignored one too many times, Frederick turned off Frank's oxygen regulator briefly before turning it back on. After that, Frank made sure not to ignore him, and would occasionally bring toys or things down from the surface for him to play with. This odd relationship continued for most of the year until about January, where Frederick disappeared for several weeks. Frank said that he was relieved, but I think he was worried about what happened to his friend. Frank eventually found him at the same marina he had first seen him, wrapped around the chain and disguised as a rock. His skills of disguise seemed to have gotten dull, as the rock looked distinctly unrock-like and was covered in strange white spots. Frank waved hello, his customary greeting to Frederick, and after a pause, Frederick waved back. He flashed white briefly, then changed back into the color of a rock. Frank hung around for a while, but Frederick didn't seem to be interested in playing hide-and-seek or any other games, so he went back to his inspection. After a week of half expecting to spot Frederick somewhere out on one of his dives, Frank returned to the marina. Frederick was still there, wrapped around the chain. He was no longer disguised as a rock, and his skin was a bright red mottled with white spots. He waved at Frank, flashed white, and then turned back red. Frank had brought some fish with him, but Frederick refused to eat or move, staying anchored around the mooring chain. Frank came back the next day with a lobster, which was apparently Frederick's favorite food. He was still there, hugging the mooring chain. He refused to eat the lobster and didn't wave to Frank or flash white like he usually did. The next day, he was gone. Frank came back once a week for the next month before finally giving up on seeing him there again. Sometimes still, Frank will inspect strange rocks or objects he sees underwater, in hopes of seeing Frederick one last time. You can find lots of things at the bottom of the ocean. A friend isn't usually one of them.
That's so crazy. Did Fred die?
That's a crazy story. I've never heard anything like that.
Imagine this being living there, self-aware, wondering why it has this amazing intelligence, observing life, seeing a human being playing tricks, etc., and then finally saying goodbye. I don't know anything about this stuff, but it turning red, etc., sounds like he was dying and losing control over his body. The story is so sad. Octopus typically die soon after they mate. The females remain alive long enough for them to guard the eggs, but males develop a form of dementia and stop eating right after the mating is over. Their body basically self-destructs and consumes itself for energy until the death occurs.
Giant Pacific octopi are semmelporous. They breed once before death. After reproduction, they enter a stage called senescence, which involves obvious changes in behavior and appearance, including a reduced appetite, retraction of skin around the eyes, giving them a more pronounced appearance.
That's like
increased activity and coordinated
heartbreaking.
patterns, and white lesions all over the body.
Oh.
While the duration of this stage is variable, it typically lasts about 1 to 2 months. Death is typically attributed to starvation, as the females stop hunting and instead protect their eggs. Males often spend more time in the open, making them more likely to be preyed upon. Fred became a dad.
F.
Have sex.
Die.
Would you and Ons do it?
Okay, I'm
I
back.
was just gonna
Gotcha.
say, how crazy of a feature is that for what? Why is that? I don't think I've heard that with like anything other besides like some insects in spiders and things where. That's a fucking so sad. So after the dude pipes, he just shrivels and dies.
released for those of you
Wait,
still
why? Why do they
Wow.
do that?
These are from the same treasure hunter guy who told me the story about the giant sea spider. He was deep out at
Oh, hold up. A genetically programmed, hormonally driven process known as senescence, or the death spiral, triggered by the optic gland after mating. This cascade causes the octopus located between the eyes acts as a master switch. After mating and egg laying, this gland releases a cocktail of hormones, including higher levels of steroids. Does not compete with the next generation for food or space. Research has shown that removing the optic gland can cause a female to stop caring for her eggs and live for several months longer, proving the gland is the cause. What? How strange is that? Is there like a children's movie or something? I swear I have seen like a mom octopus dying or something, and like for no reason, or you know, I like it, I feel like it's animated or something, and it was just like the mom just without explanation. I remember seeing it as a kid, the mom just passes away, and it was just like, what nothing even happened. But oh, that is, why would that? That's so
scanning the
strange.
seafloor in an area known for shipwrecks to see if he could find anything. He'd been doing it for most of the day with no success. He turned away from the screen for a second to look at something else, and looked back barely in time to catch the tail end of an absolutely massive blip on the sonar disappearing from the scan radius. Never got an exact measurement out of him, but it was too big and too fast to be a whale. Right after this, he hears something strange coming from the ship's starboard side, and looks up to see a massive rogue wave bearing down on his boat. He barely had enough time to turn into it and avoid being capsized, and a bunch of his stuff got soaked or washed overboard. Apparently the sea was completely calm, barely a cloud in the sky, and no wind at all. Last one for this week, but I saved one of the best for last. Again,
Fucking
this story
weird.
comes from our intrepid treasure hunter. I'm going to call him Carl from now on, just to make writing these a bit easier on myself. Carl was a week into his 2-week treasure hunting voyage/vacation. So far, he had little success, and today wasn't any better. It was getting near lunch, and so far all he had done is sit around drinking beer and watching his sonar. Finally, he spots something that piques his interest. A long, pole-shaped object jutting out of the ocean floor and propped against some sort of large rock outcrop. More often than not, Carl says that stuff like this on
Here, I'm gonna
sonar
grab the
ends
glue
up being
gun
just an
and cut
old
this piece of
waterlogged
wood.
tree that sunk to the bottom. But there's always the chance
Hope some
that it's
people
the
tune in
mast of a
tonight.
long-sunk ship that was shattered by undersea currents, its treasures and artifacts.
I like this
spread along.
vibe. I wanna, especially if Crafted gets further into it too. It'd be cool to do stuff like that with everybody. But that would be really cool to figure out how to do a small game or just like a experience. More like, I'm trying to even think of how I would. But man, do I want something that has that vibe of like 2000s aquarium, or like, I'm trying to how I would word it, almost like Voices of the Void art and like that space race kind of graphics, but with
From the
an
seafloor.
aquarium.
Hoping for a
like,
much-needed win, Carl prepped his gear and dove.
I
The
would kill
descent
for
was
something like
uneventful,
that.
visibility good, and he was able to spot the
An
wreck from
audio
a
like
good
that, a
distance
track
away.
like that.
He became more
Do
and
you
more
see what track
convinced
this
that it
is?
was a wreck the closer he got, and his excitement grew. Finally, reaching the spot, he discovered that the beam was in fact jetting out of a rock rather than leaning against it. The rock was weathered and covered in dead coral and barnacles along with the mast, but the shape was
Oh,
distinctly
cool. Yeah,
similar
he
to the
does.
hull
Okay,
of
he
a
uses
large
multiple
ship.
tracks. I
An
thought this
intact
was just
hull
maybe
means
one loop.
intact treasure, and Carl eagerly began to search for an entry point so he could investigate the interior. After a few minutes of searching, he couldn't find a single hole or break in the coral-encrusted exterior of the wreck, which is a bit odd given that the ship had sunk. Carl almost gave up hope until he came across something extremely strange. There was a door, perfectly preserved, sitting embedded in the side of the hull. Carl's first instinct was to open it, but out of nowhere every single one of his instincts started screaming alarm bells at him. He hadn't seen a single fish or sign of life on or near the wreck. The wreck was old, too old for there to be a perfectly preserved modern door complete with an unrusted brass handle in the side of the hull. He pulled back and took another, closer look at the wreck, as a heavy sense of dread began to overtake him. He found a patch of the mast where the coral crust had fallen away, and it revealed the true surface. After knocking on it a few times, Carl realized that the mast wasn't made out of wood. It was stone. If the entire wreck was petrified, it was very, very old. Much too old to make any sense, and much, much too old for there to be a completely preserved modern door in the side of the hull. Who the hell puts a door in the side of the ship's hull, anyway? The sense of dread Carl was fearing became overpowering. Every single one of his senses was screaming at him that he shouldn't be here, and that he didn't belong, that something was very, very wrong. But there was no way he would just come all the way out here, make the discovery of a lifetime and just leave. So he swallowed his fear and headed back towards the door. He wasn't going to let nerves take what was possibly one of the greatest archaeological discoveries of the century away from him. As he swam around the hole to the section containing the door, the fear intensified until he described it as, it felt like having a complete mental breakdown. Still, though, he pushed through his fear and towards the door. As it came into sight, he noticed something was wrong. The door was ajar and slowly opening from the inside. Carl sat there for what must have been a few full seconds, watching the door open, his entire body screaming at him to run. That was when he felt something else, something watching him from inside the door. Something that Carl could only describe as pure, unthinkable evil. Carl made a mad dash for the surface, hyperventilating and screaming into his mask, not daring to look back as he could feel a presence following behind him, watching with hungry eyes. He shot straight to the surface without any stops, flopped onto his boat, headed
That's like
it back
liminal
towards land at
backroom
full
shit.
speed,
What,
and
a
managed
boat
to call
with
the
a
Coast Guard
door?
for help, despite being racked with pain from decompression sickness. He was picked up off his boat in a helicopter and flown to the nearest decompression chamber. Thanks to the quick rescue, Carl survived, albeit with permanent joint damage and some paralysis in his left leg that put an end to his treasure-hunting career. He refused to share the location of the wreck with me. Some things on the bottom of the ocean aren't meant to be found. I'm
That
going to
can't
begin
just be
tonight with one
unverified.
of my
Somebody's
own
got to go
stories that I
verify
haven't
that.
told
That's
yet.
insane.
We're also going to try and investigate the phenomenon I witnessed, which has been corroborated and seen by many other commercial and hobby divers. If you've been diving a lot, or spend a lot of your time around divers, you might have already guessed what I'm talking about. Black divers, one of the most persistent and unnerving legends that has plagued diving since the time of giant metal bell helmets.
What?
We'll dig into possible causes and explanations for this phenomena after I've written up my own encounter with them. This story comes from early in my time
come
as
they
a
can't
commercial diver on
dive?
the Hibernia rig. The rig is the biggest in the world and is absolutely massive. Basically a small city jutting out of the sea floor. The entire thing is on top of a massive concrete platform settled on the bottom of the ocean that's also used to store barrels of crude. Even back when I was doing this, safety regulations were very important. Unlike most of my other jobs where I mostly inspect or repair the integrity of the structures themselves, I was checking the oil storage itself to ensure it was safe, secure, and not leaking out of containment. It was good work, steady work, inspecting the site nearly every day, and it paid well. Usually I worked with a group of 2 other divers. The day this happened was like pretty much any other. The weather was shit, the onboard chef's omelet was delicious, and the rig workers were assholes. Nothing new. Began the dive, reached my target, and began the inspection
Want
of
some-
lids,
oh, I need to get
seams,
some
etc., and
eggs.
taking water samples as well to
Want some
ensure no
eggs for
minute
breakfast.
particulate leakage. After a few minutes, I get a
Leakage.
feeling on the back of my neck that I'm being watched. I turn around to see one of my partners floating a distance
I can't get over that octopus one. Who heard that? That is fucking. I'm still thinking about why octopus have to die after they
from me,
have
watching me
babies.
work.
That's so
I wave
sad.
at him with the OK sign to signify that I am okay, and he returned it. I
Octopus
wasn't sure why
never
he
know
was
their
watching
parents.
me instead of doing his own work, but I really didn't give much of a shit. I had a feeling in my gut, though, that something wasn't right. I mulled it over in my mind while I worked. Something about him had seemed off, but I had no idea what it was. So I turned around again after a bit, and sure enough, he was still there, watching me. I waved to him and made the okay hand sign again, and he returned it. Something about the way he did it made me feel disgusted and repulsed. The fingers looked wrong, if that makes any sense. I don't remember enough detail to describe exactly how they moved incorrectly, but I felt a distinct uncanny valley level of repulsion upon seeing it. I was looking at something very, very wrong. My gut instinct was screaming at me that this guy was dangerous. That's when I realized what had actually been bugging me initially. The guy didn't have any bubbles coming out of his regulator. Oh shit, this guy has a regulator. My diving partner has a rebreather. This isn't my diving partner. Wait, oh shit, how the fuck can this guy be giving off 0 bubbles without a rebreather? Here's where I need to explain a bit of technical stuff for the non-initiated. Regulators are those typical scuba masks that you see. You breathe in air from them and exhale into the sea. Rebreathers are much bulkier and they recycle the air you're exhaling and reuse it so that you get more bang for your buck. Better for longer/deeper dives than a regulator. Regulators make bubbles, rebreathers don't. Like I said, all of our guys on the rig used rebreathers. It was company policy and it was just full stop the best option. This diver was using a regulator, and on top of that, he wasn't making any bubbles, which was just screaming all kinds of wrong. I stare at him for a second as he just floats there, staring back at me through the gloomy water.
What up, Steven?
My stupid search and rescue recovery instincts kick in, and I assume this diver is having an emergency malfunction with his rebreather and cannot breathe and is possibly already unconscious or dead. So I try and stuff down the blaring warning signs in my gut and swim over to him as quickly as I can. The warning signs in my gut get worse the closer I get. There's just something about this guy that is wrong somehow. I can't describe it any other way than I knew instinctively that he should not exist, that he was wrong. My gut finally got the better of me just as I reached to pull off his broken regulators so we could share my rebreather on our way up. I stopped my hand a few inches away from the mask, and I felt an intense jolt of fear staring down into his mask. There was nothing behind his mask. It was completely empty. No eyes, no face, no skull, no corpse, nothing. Just empty blackness. I reached out with my hand and touched the top of his head. His wetsuit hood squished inwards as I pushed, deforming the shape of his head. That's when it moved. The thing turned its mask up towards my face, raising its hand and making the OK sign again. My body was in full fight or flight mode at this point, and though I'm no pussy, spooky phantom divers are pretty far past my limits of what I'm willing to fight. So I swam the fuck away, putting a decent distance between us before I dared to look back. When I turned around, I saw the diver floating backwards into the current, leaking black oil or blood or something from his mask, arms, and legs. It wasn't long before he was hidden entirely behind a black cloud, vanishing into the murky sea. I went back up to the surface as quickly as humanly possible, assuming that I had a bad mix of gas or a malfunctioning rebreather causing narcosis. The maintenance crews never found anything wrong with my gear, though that doesn't rule out the possibility of narcosis hallucinations.
Yeah, I almost didn't
Man,
stream
sounds like you're
tonight,
kind of
Steven.
some kind of capable squid. Yeah, it definitely is some kind of squid that is either friendly, interested in human enough.
My buddies
to take
that are
something that doesn't seem
subscribed,
like
like my
danger as
IRL
opposed to
friends that are
what would happen if you
subscribed,
saw
I
a human-sized
notified
squid
right
just
there. I was
staring
like,
at
I
you.
gotta go live for a little
Some
bit.
of them
I
not
say
only
every
insanely
night,
intelligent, but have literal
even though
active
there's like
camouflage,
literally
which changes
zero
their entire
indication
texture.
that anybody wants
I figured
these.
that.
So, as promised, a bit of analysis/insight into this particular phenomenon. There's a couple of different names for them: phantom divers, ghost divers, black divers. The stories aren't all the same. There's 2 basic types of phantom diver encounters: the ones with a body and the ones without.
It was
Some
good
people
today.
report
It was
seeing a
alright.
corpse or skeleton face behind the mask. Others saw what I saw, which is a seemingly empty black void with nothing inside except water. The common thread shared through most stories is the lack of bubbles, and the black blood or a mist emitted by the phantom diver.
That's a
Not all
thing.
stories have the black mist.
Dude, you guys
but
missed Drew. If you're in here and you have audio, and Steven, you guys, this story was insane. I'll go back and find it. This one of this octopus named Fred. It's like heartbreaking. It almost made me teary-eyed. How sad. I had to Google it too. Did you know that no octopus like ever knows its parents? They have this thing, a certain gland, an ocular gland or
George.
something right between their eyes, and it's like a genetic programming for so that right after they have babies, after the mating and everything is done, they just destroy themselves basically. Like And apparently it's an evolutional trait so that there's nobody to compete with the babies, like for food and resources. I'm like, what is fucking horribly sad?
There's a couple possibilities for this. It could be an actual supernatural phenomenon. Weird shit happens in the ocean. Divers die all the time. Could the ocean have some sort of property that traps the souls of those who die here, dooming them to float aimlessly on currents as ghostly phantoms? I won't outright rule it out, because weird shit happens in the ocean.
It sounded like that one guy.
I've seen stuff that defies explanation
I don't know.
time and time again. It could also be like what I call a mind virus. You see it a lot amongst the DMT or psychedelics community. The drugs are a window into your subconscious thought process, so if you go in with certain expectations or knowledge, even if you don't realize you are, it will affect your experience. It's possible that people see phantom divers because they've heard stories about them, and it's something their subconscious mind jumps to when it experiences narcosis hallucinations. Which would mean by spreading these stories, I am in fact contributing to the spread of this idea. The last possibility is very much related to the next story I have for you. I'll save it for after I've typed it up.
Describe how the fingers were wrong.
It happened quite a while ago, and my memory is far from perfect. If I said that I remembered the exact detail of what made the fingers wrong, I'd be lying. There was something about the way they moved when he made the hand signal. It was like someone had studied exactly how a human hand functions without ever having a hand or using it. And so there was just something missing in translation, an innate humanity in the gesture that was completely absent. This next story was written by the same old biologist who allegedly had a deep-sea ROV he was operating eaten by the black carpet back in one of the first threads I posted on here. One of the biggest questions we face as a species is the question of sentience. What makes us sentient? What allows us to exist consciously? Self-aware. Why do we exist? What fuels our search for other life out there in the
Go back to the
stars?
ghost divers. What are you talking
But I
about
would
here?
posit that we are searching in exactly the wrong direction. The effort, time, and resources to reach the stars are vast, and our chances of discovering any life, let alone intelligence, sapient, sentient life, are astronomically small. That isn't to say that we shouldn't explore the stars, only that we should finish exploring our own planet first. 80% of the Earth's oceans are unmapped, unseen, and unexplored. Dark chasms of unknown depths never seen by human eyes, teeming with undiscovered species and wonders.
Yeah, that is
What
crazy.
are the chances that some undiscovered form of intelligent life exists?
High.
Another ruined my academic credibility and resisted my best efforts to record, observe, or prove its existence. I have not given up the search, but I grow more discouraged every year my prize eludes me. Even
talks weird.
that titanic black carpet
Whoever
of
wrote that
creeping
one.
flesh that lies at the deepest depths of the abyss. As I dove, it became quickly apparent that several large barracudas shadowed my descent, each specimen measuring nearly 8 feet in length. These inquisitive creatures are quite harmless to humans, despite what deceitful, Luciferian, hysteriatic media sycophants might try to tell you. I felt no fear at witnessing these
they're
noble
quite
wolves
harmless?
of the sea, and instead welcomed their company.
To
To my
humans.
immense disappointment, 2 of the creatures vanished in pursuit of a large blue tuna, leaving me with only a singular companion as I plunged headfirst deeper into the abyss. Eventually, he too left me. I was alone with my thoughts for what seemed an eternity. Ever so slowly, the ocean floor came into view through the murky darkness. I beheld a great underwater plateau, perched at the edge of a steep plunge into even greater depths. A swift shadow shot out of the gloom at the plateau's edge in the corner of my vision, and I whirled to face the new danger. To my great relief and surprise, the silhouette belonged to none other than an exquisite bottlenose. The dolphin swum in triumphant arcs around me, squeal chittering in his strange language in obvious delight to himself for having found a friendly light in such dark depths. Despite the affections and welcome from my new friend, I urgently pressed downward to the floor of the plateau with my companion in tow. I imagined at that moment that he must have been following out of sheer curiosity. What was this land ape doing at such a depth during the night? This land ape was on the hunt for big game. The biggest game to ever walk the ocean floor, perhaps. But I was not destined to find my old bane, the colossal siphonophore, today. For upon reaching the plateau floor, I quickly noticed strange, unnatural shapings shaping amongst the rock and coral. Sections worn and carved by water, but seemingly with intent, purpose, and craftsmanship. Strange groove lines ran in circles on the stone seabed, each pattern similar and yet distinct. Astonished,
See,
I
these are
began
like,
to photograph and
what is it,
record as much
4chan,
of
like
this
green
incredible
text though too.
phenomenon as
Can't
I
you do
could,
images
taking
and shit? Like, I
video
want
and
to
photo
see,
in great
I want to see
detail of the
sweet
structures.
diving footage.
After my
Have you ever
manic
heard how
enthusiasm
sand
had
sharks are
waned
born?
It's
somewhat,
been 2
I
years,
turned and
Daddy.
looked for my
I
bottlenose
Battle
really,
companion
Royale.
really miss you.
No.
Found him sitting only a
Wait.
short
Oh, are nurse? Is it specific to nurse sharks? But I know that sharks are born in like those like sacks or whatever. Is there just like a bunch of them that in there that are just fight to the death?
distance away,
Bro, no
staring
way.
at
I want
me
to look
with
that up
eyes
too.
that had suddenly lost their gleaming laughter. That was when it struck me like a bolt of thunder. Bottlenose dolphins never swim this deep. They definitely would never venture to the abyssal depth of the drop-off I had seen this one emerge from. As I had this very revelation, the flesh of the dolphin shifted and rippled in both shape, texture, and color, and I saw the thing's eyes burning with a cold and malevolent intelligence that I had never before and have never since witnessed even amongst the worst of mankind. The thing in front of me was no dolphin, but rather a clever impostor from some yet unknown secretive species of mollusk. There was a moment where both of us locked eyes, daring the other to make the first move. A tendril reached out from the mass and, grasping my camera, slowly but firmly pulled it from my grasp.
Yeah, okay.
Apparently satisfied, the creature jetted away in a cloud of thick black ink, leaving me to surface without a single speck of proof, evidence, or
Okay.
answers.
It would get
I
whipped
fully
for the
believe that The
camera.
only reason I still breathe is that the creature knew my boat's discovery nearby with me missing would bring greater danger to him than I could by myself. I talked to the old biologist.
Nah,
again. We're going to call him
what?
Murray to make my life a little bit
If
easier.
it what that story is horse shit. If it can shapeshift and look like other creatures, why would it think that bringing other humans around is a danger to it? It would just look like something else. Shut the fuck. What a
Now,
horse
Murray
shit
is a bit of a
story.
character. He
That
talks
sucks.
and swears like an old sea captain despite being a marine biologist, and always seems to have a ready excuse for why he has no proof of the things he's apparently seen. I'm not particularly inclined to believe him most days out of the week, but I still find the stories fascinating. I asked him for a bit more in-depth explanation on the creature he saw, and his thoughts on it. His belief is that there's an unknown sentient species of cephalopod in the ocean.
I didn't know they
Cephalopods are
had a battle
squids,
royale like
octopus,
that.
etc., in case you're wondering. Cephalopods are strange creatures with a remarkable ability to mimic other forms of life. They also have a level of intelligence that is still to this day not been fully studied or documented. Octopus in the wild and captivity have been recorded to wave back at humans. in
Yeah,
an
it's the
almost
like the
friendly
one we
manner.
were just dude. Octopus
Supposing
are
that an
cool.
unknown
Wait,
intelligent
what?
species of cephalopod existed, if it did not want to be found, it would be extremely difficult or impossible to find it. Their ability to hide and mimic other forms of life is unmatched, especially if matched with a keen intellect. The creature described by Murray was able to create a near-perfect mimicry of a bottlenose dolphin. This is actually completely within the realm of reality. There's a species of octopus known as the mimic octopus that mimics a wide variety of creatures with stunning accuracy.
I've heard that.
This is
but
achieved via complete control of the shape, texture, and color of its body. It's possible that this unknown deep-sea mimic is also responsible for the black diver phenomena. A cephalopod of sufficient size could easily mimic human movement and mannerisms from the inside of a wetsuit. The black blood to me indicates that this might be the case. I wonder what these mimics might
that is
think
interesting.
of us humans, invaders from the land. What secrets or mysteries might they hold? Could they have secret cities hidden in great unknown caverns at the bottom of the sea? What purpose does imitating a human diver serve? Are they just
well,
observing
no,
us,
they're
or
super
are their
weird,
plans
man.
more
If like
sinister?
the parents die off that quick and stuff after mating, it's like it wouldn't be like a city or a society or anything, but it's. They see that's the weird part is that they seem crazy smart for just being in the you know what I mean. It's like what do you do? What do you think when you're just in the? Imagine if you had like close to our intelligence and you were just at the bottom of the ocean and that was your thing. That was your gig. That was your full-time thing. Like what?
The entire
What would
idea,
your
frankly, has me a
day-to-day
bit on edge.
thoughts or what?
These things could be hiding anywhere, disguised as anything. I might have swam past one a dozen times, been watched by them hundreds. Do they know me? Do they have a name for me? If these things exist, I think it's better that they remain hidden and that these questions remain unanswered. I tried to convince Murray of that, but he remains dead set on proving that they exist. There's one more question that's itching at the back of my mind. If it was a cephalopod mimic in that empty diving suit I saw, where the hell did it get the suit? They must either scavenge the suits from dead divers, or actively murder divers to steal their suits and gear. I've heard enough stories about murderous octopus to not like where that is going one bit. So, if you find yourself often beneath the waves of the ocean as I do, be wary of any unknown divers and objects that don't belong.
Yeah,
Tonight,
that
I'm
one's
going to be shining
little-
a spotlight on an aspect of the ocean that usually flies under the radar. Something far deadlier than all those sharks, squids, and various denizens of the deep that somehow isn't nearly as widely known or feared. I am, of course, talking about the currents of the ocean. If
Hmm.
you've ever been surfing or spent any amount of time in the ocean, you will be able to appreciate
Oh man,
what
wouldn't
I'm
it be?
talking about.
I
Current
know,
is
having like a
power in
boat
its
and
most raw
stuff,
form.
going on
Inescapable,
trips,
absolute. Once a current has
looking
grabbed
for
you,
a
there is
wreck
no
or
escape.
something would be
Fighting
so
will just
cool.
exhaust your energy reserves and kill you quicker. There are many currents that are known dangerous killers. What people never talk about are the phantom currents, like rogue waves. These streams of water seemingly appear and vanish at will within the ocean, sucking divers and swimmers to their death without warning. Superstitions will often tell you the sea isn't awake, she's asleep, dreaming, and she takes as much as she gives. I've had plenty of close calls and experiences with currents, some more harmless than others. The one I remember most clearly, oddly enough, though, is the one where I was in the least danger. It was a normal night dive, as normal as dives at night can be. Anyone who has been on a night dive knows what I'm talking about. The darkness is so black, so complete that it consumes you.
Oh, I
The
can't
way
even
down is
imagine.
nothing but black abyss in every direction. It takes a lot of getting
Just
used
feeling
to.
something touch you.
It still freaks me out, even after I've done it over 100 times. Like most of my non-professional dives, this one was purely an exploratory one. The ocean and everything in it have always held a fascination for me. All sorts of stuff tends to accumulate at the bottom of the ocean, and I'm always trying to find it. My one rule is to look, but never take. The sea takes and it gives in equal measure. If you take from her, she'll take from you. That might seem like a bunch of old sailor bullshit, but has more truth to it than you might imagine.
Hmm.
My discovery on that night came near the end
Why
of
do
the
I feel like I
dive,
buy that a little
right
bit?
before I was about to head back. Just as I made my return to the boat, I spotted something jutting out of the sea floor. It was a raft of sorts, improvised and constructed out of decrepit wooden boards and logs. A few objects lay nearby: an old disposable plastic water bottle, a plastic flip phone, 2 old flip-flops, a metal cooking pot, some cloth sacks, a tiny bottle so overgrown with algae that the rubber nipple looked like a plant sprout. After investigating further, I found another raft, then another, and another. Hundreds of rafts of various construction type, quality, and decay. Many of them must have been hundreds of years old, if not older. One of the rafts had an old flintlock pistol set beside it, albeit rusted to such a degree that it was nearly unrecognizable. The entire area was a massive underwater grave. That's the only way I can describe it. Just looking at it gave me chills, not from danger, but from the profound nature of what I was witnessing. Hundreds, perhaps thousands of years of failed voyages on improvised craft collected in one area by an undersea current. I have never found a single bone or body, just the remains of the craft that had sunk beneath them. This story was very personal to me because discoveries like this are the very essence of why I take risks of diving alone at night. Unknown, forgotten, and unseen stories, lying silent at the bottom of the sea. Remnants of a life long since dead and gone. All hopes and dreams and experiences gone with it. I wish more than anything I could have spent longer down there poring over every raft, every item. But my oxygen was running out, and when I returned the next day to
That's
the exact
strange, though.
same
I wonder how
spot, I found nothing but sediment and bare seabed.
Huh.
This story comes from the father-in-law of
How
a young
Kurz
diver
would work
that
though?
Frank
How would it be
trained.
pulling ships
We'll call
down
him
and stuff
Ibrahim.
and not be
The
dangerous
area
to
of the
you
world
though?
that Ibrahim is from has a long cultural history of diving, long preceding modern scuba gear. An entire culture developed over the ages of the songs and stories of the pearl divers, venturing into the depths in hope of finding hidden treasures. And
Oh,
like with all
pearls.
things, the
Yeah,
sea gives and takes
okay,
in
for
equal
Val, yeah.
measure. For
Like
every
pearl
beautiful,
divers.
luminous gem of the deep taken from her, the sea will take something in return. Sometimes a ring, an heirloom, a jeweled diving knife, sometimes much more. There's one legend among these pearl divers that has apparently existed in one form or another since antiquity. The name is in their native language, but it roughly translates to the chasm or the hole. It's common to hear it referred to amongst pearl divers talking about a lost friend or comrade. The hole got him. So, what is the hole? It's not a place, apparently so much as it is a thing. It supposedly appears without warning, silently sucks a victim into its gaping maw, and vanishes without warning. The divers don't describe it as a creature, though they do speak of it as a living thing. Descriptions of supposed survivors speak of a giant circular chasm opening beneath them in the seafloor, with a strong current sucking unfortunate divers down into its abyssal blue depths, never to be seen again.
Well, not going diving
This next
then.
story comes from a former deckhand on a
What?
deep-sea trawler that did fishing off the coast of Australia. I
This
get
is
a lot of stories
unfair.
from that part of the world.
A
Weird shit
whole,
happens
it's
down
like,
under, it seems.
it's like
We
cheating.
call our young, intrepid deckhand Paul. He was trying to earn some quick money working on a fishing vessel, though his career was doomed to be short-lived. There's a couple of details he described that are important to the story. This happened a while back, when Australian fishing was a booming business. Big money was being made, and
Oh,
lots
crap,
of
it
people
done.
wanted in. So it wasn't uncommon to see boats of various sorts being converted into fishing trawlers. The problem with this, of course, being that the boats aren't designed to mount the heavy nets and fishing machinery used by a trawler. Paul never learned about this until his ill-fated first voyage, otherwise he claims no amount of money would have lured him on board. As he described it, the disaster struck on their very first haul. The official story is that their net hit a snag. It was Paul's first time, so it's hard to say whether or not his opinion has much merit. But in his opinion, something had grabbed the net and was pulling them down. And because the trawler was top-rigged as he described it, the entire boat lurched over with the net and capsized in just a few moments. However, it wasn't the ship capsizing and sinking without warning that struck Paul the most. It was what happened after. He dove and swam for safety just in time to avoid being pulled down with the ship. After taking a breath, he dove back down to see if there was anyone he could help. Most of the crew had surfaced already or were swimming up, but one man was swimming down after the ship. He managed to grab the end of the trailing rope and began to pull himself down towards the ship as it rapidly sunk into the gloomy depths.
What?
He turned back to look at the surface before sinking out of sight for good. The man's face was etched with the most indescribable agony possible. Just by looking at his face, into those eyes, Paul said he could feel the man's pain. The expression still haunts him to this day. The hopeless eyes, the agonized expression, hair swirling around as he sank further and further beyond the surface's light. Thanks to another nearby boat, almost all the crew survived. There were only 2 fatalities, the captain and his son. This next story is a pretty short one.
How would you see his
Last one
face
for
if
the
he was
night,
swimming
but I have a
down?
big juicy one that I'll be posting sometime tomorrow. Not sure when. I'm going fishing with a bunch of buddies. I'll try to write it up between bites. This is a story I've heard through the grapevine in various forms a bunch of times. I suspect it's a single story going through the telephone game over and over again, but it
Oh,
might have
shoot
been
here.
several different stories with similar shared elements.
Measure this real
The
quick.
element that ties all the stories is the one I started this thread out with. The divers are swimming somewhere out in the ocean, far from land. A current appears out of nowhere, sucking one of the divers downwards. It is so strong that the diver is pulled down out of sight within the space of less than 30 seconds, almost before the other divers can react. Some divers have stories vanishing from the middle of a group without a trace or anyone seeing them leave the group.
I have heard that
The
before.
strangest thing about these stories is the extremely localized nature of the current,
Which is
as it is
strange.
always only a single diver that is sucked down while the others are unaffected. If I were to take a guess, it seems like some sort of strange localized whirlpool phenomenon caused by 2 massive underwater currents colliding with one another. I've certainly seen stranger things at those depths. Well, folks, I'm back with the last story for this week. If you enjoy Murray's stories, old cranky biologist who claims the black carpet ate his ROV, then you'll enjoy this one. I didn't know this until hearing this story, but Murray was a military diver during the Vietnam War, in a harbor clearing unit. They did salvage, recovery, repair, rescue, clearing minefields, etc. I don't think any description of mine could do justice of what he saw, so I'll jump straight into his story. I was young back then. Not young, I suppose. I didn't feel too young, but sure was a hell of a lot younger than now. I got signed up for the Frogmen, and it was, well, I sure was thankful to not be out there with the rest of them boys being shot at by Charlie. And, well, I wasn't too afraid of it. The depths, dark, whatnot. We had those, back then it was the circular masks, regulators and real big clumsy tanks. And it was maybe more primitive than what we got today. But it was really, even the worst missions wasn't too bad. And maybe I felt some guilt about that, because all them other boys were getting shot up by Charlie, and me, my job wasn't nearly so dangerous. So that's why I guess, when they said there was a need for a volunteer from and mind you I was in the harbor clearing unit, Harbor 1, so when they said that there was a need for a volunteer from Harbor 1 for some mission on the mainland, well, I stood right up and said, yes sir, that's me. They flew me out on a Huey with a bunch of airmobile boys straight away after that. I went to grab my gear, but they said to get straight on the Huey and there'll be gear waiting at the location. There'd be gear on location is what they said. I tried to chat up the Airmobile guys on the way in, sort of suss out what the situation maybe was, but they were tight-lipped. In fact, I couldn't get nothing out of no one about the mission until I was right there. Some high-ranking guy, colonel or something I reckon, was there, and he points me towards this hole in the ground. And it was one of them VC tunnels that you hear about sometimes from the other GIs who were deployed out there. They'd run in their tunnel to hide, then pop out and shoot you in the back execution-like, and sometimes there'd almost be a whole city down there. They'd have dozens of tunnels and passages and rooms. There was so many of them that we have to have a whole group, a whole division that was called the Tunnel Rats. Them Tunnel Rats was engineers. You think that'd be a pretty sweet gig, pretty safe, but those tunnel boys, they gave them a nice pistol and a flashlight and sent them into those holes to clear them out of any VC that would be
It's
hiding down there.
-10
And they
out. I
tried
just
gas,
turned
and
my
they tried
house back up
bombs,
to
even flooding the
74, and
tunnels,
it
but
is
Charlie was a
still
clever devil, and
fucking.
he'd build
It
a
gets
dozen
cold
different
so
ways in
quick.
and out with some sort of water, like locks
I
that
should make sure all my windows and everything aren't drafty.
or filling up with water. So eventually, they just send in one boy in there with a gun
I'm
to
warming
clear
up
it.
the glue
And I
gun.
guess if he didn't come back, they send in another one after him. Charlie would have all sorts of
Still in
devilish
here,
traps in
FB?
there. Clever bastards
This is
they
only
were.
one person over
Spears
on
through the
Kick.
walls, bamboo spikes,
Let's
all
do
manner
that.
of
I
venomous
will.
creatures
I'll
hidden.
get Borderlands
And
2
all of
means
that
that we
made
should do
for a
that sometime
hideous,
soon.
hideously dangerous job of climbing in those tunnels. So when this Colonel Major whoever says
Be
for me
fine.
to climb in this
You
hole,
do some
well, I tell him
BeamNG
with all due
too, with
respect
like
to go fuck
the
himself.
server with
I'm
Drew
a
and
frogman,
everybody.
not a
We haven't done
tunnel
that in a
rat.
minute.
You, sir, can go fuck yourself is what I said. He says the tunnel got the all clear from the rats already. No traps or Charlie in there. And I was a bit suspicious about that. But they brought out the guy who cleared it, and he told me it was as near as safe as a VC tunnel could ever be. Though beyond a point they'd flooded it by accident, or to cover their tracks. I don't think anybody was certain on that. So that was why they had needed me for the job. Colonel Major Sarge was of the mind that if the VC flooded themselves in or out, then there'd be valuable intel or something important hidden down there at the bottom of that flooded tunnel. So they handed me a pistol and a rope to drag my gear behind with on the account of how narrow the tunnel was. At this point, I was more than a bit uncertain about this operation, but what I figure is that if someone had to be doing it, then it might as well be me. So there I was, crawling headfirst into some Charlie hellhole designed by the devil incarnate with nothing but a flashlight, pistol, and dive gear being dragged on a rope behind me. It was a sure tight fit, and I've never been too fond of those. And at one point it got steep. Real steep, and if there was no way to turn around, I was doubtful of being able to crawl up again backwards. Like, it felt a bit like I was going down into hell. With the tunnel narrowing and plunging at such a steep angle, all the slick mud and drops of it dripping down from the roof. It got so tight right near the end that I had a hard time breathing, from the tunnel walls scraping on both sides of my chest and back. It was like being swallowed alive, which was, at this point, I would have headed straight back up if I could. But it was just down. The only way I could go was down. So that's what I did. I just kept crawling as the tunnel was beginning to close on me from all sides. But all I could do was pull myself further in, trying to shine my light up ahead in my mouth, hoping and praying to see a room or wider passage soon. Don't truly know how long I crawled for, cursing that Colonel Stars and Stripes for sending me down here, cursing myself for being stupid enough to actually crawl into a Charlie hellhole voluntarily. I was barely wriggling through the tunnel at this point, when I finally spot the reflection of water a further ways down into the tunnel. It's all so narrow now that I'm barely able to crawl or even breathe proper, as I said, but I managed to reach it. So I take my light and I shine it down in there for a bit, and I look to see what sort of room or passage I found. But it was just more of the same blasted tunnel downward, and now filled with muddy shit water that you can barely see a couple feet through. So at this point I was wondering what the hell Uncle Sam had sent me down here for with diving gear if when I needed it there was no goddamn room to even put it on, barely enough room to even breathe. I was there for a moment or two, screaming every curse known to man, mostly out of fear of being trapped down in this hellish mud tunnel and with no way out except further down. That was about when I began to notice that the water level was rising slowly,
Oh,
inch by
fuck
inch
no.
toward my face. And like I said, my gear, it's behind me, and there's no room to even reach my arms back, let alone put it on. For a moment I put up a tremendous struggle trying to push myself back, out of the tunnel, but I just ended up getting myself more trapped. Sometime during that, I must have dropped my flashlight because I can remember seeing it rolling down through the mud water and all light vanishing, which left me stuck in there in the total pitch dark, lost beyond all hope of returning to the surface. Only sound I can hear beyond my own screams and curses was the water drops coming from the mud roof of this accursed devil tunnel to hell.
Have a good one, Drew. Peace, man.
Quiet water
Appreciate
whisper
you
as it
stopping
rose
by,
up towards
brother.
me. I think at
I
that
love
point,
you.
and God forgive me for it, but I was of the mind that a quick death being preferable to drowning. But I'd gotten the gun. It was in my waistband, I think, and I couldn't quite get my hand back to grab it, so I couldn't even end my own misery. Though at that point of which I resigned myself to death, it gave me a power of sorts. If I was all ready to die, already a dead man, then what danger was there in diving headfirst further into the tunnel's murky waters? I resolved myself that
True.
if I was to die in some watery Charlie tunnel to hell, with no chance of my body being recovered or seeing again the light of day, then there was no point of being coward-like about it. So I took a deep breath and plunged, head first, and crawling like someone
That's actually a good
possessed,
realization.
deeper into the depths of that tunnel.
Especially
I
if he's
don't recall
typing this.
much of the dive through that last portion of that was where the tunnel had been submerged, like I said. And I don't quite remember most of that. Just that I felt the tunnel widen and that I'm pulling myself out into an empty, open space. I still can't see nothing at all, so I'm trying to figure top from bottom all while my lungs feel about to burst. And I think I saw a glint from my flashlight, which logic would dictate is at the bottom of the chamber, so I swim the opposite direction of that. And that's, well, I was swimming up, you see, thinking maybe there'd be an air pocket up near the top, because I was at that point hard-pressed for a breath of air, any air at all. Weren't quite in my right mind either, or I probably would have just grabbed my mask and regulator off the rope trailing that was tied up behind me. But like I said, I was real desperate for a breath. Chest was burning, head was starting to feel weird. And I was swimming upward near as I could tell when my hand brushed up against something. Couldn't tell what it was in the blackness, but it was cold and felt like some sort of eel or other fish. But I just pushed it aside and keep going up, and all of a sudden I began to feel it all around me, pressing up against me. The feeling was, well, it was slimy, slickish like if it was a fish, but all real cold like pressing up against me, and I was pushing them aside and trying to get further up before whatever they were could drag me down with them. Then I got a face full of what I thought must have been some seaweed of sort. It was real fine for seaweed, but it was this wet, stringy stuff. And it was just getting into my hands, this wet slime of stringy sort seaweed. Some sort of worms, I guess, is what I thought it was. Yeah, I guess that's what I thought. I pushed through all of it, and finally, thank God, my hands feel an air pocket. I don't think I've ever been so relieved as when I took that first breath. In fact, I was in so much relief that I hardly noticed the smell at first. It was putrid and hellish, about as evil and as horrid as I'd imagined most journalists which are masquerading as humans must smell like beneath their suits of human skin that are, no doubt, was flayed from some poor innocent soul without proper consent. But that's, well, I
What?
suppose that's a bit irrelevant. Anyhow, the stench, it was truly horrid, smelled like death. The devil and all his demons were down here with me, but at the same time I was real grateful just to be able to breathe regardless of the quality of the air being shit. I stayed what must have been, a few minutes of breathing in that wretched stench before I heard it. There was sounds. It sounded like something else was breathing. Something who wasn't me. At first I was thinking it was an echo, but I hold my breath for a minute or so and I can hear it faintly above the water splashing. It was, I won't lie, it scared me pretty bad, being down there in the pitch black with those things swimming around below me, seaweed worms or whatever all against my body in the water. After a bit, I built up enough courage to dive down and find my flashlight. Had to push my way past those things in the water
Oh,
again,
fuck
which
no.
at that
What?
point
This
I had
gotta be
begun to
fake.
suspect
This
their
is-
true nature. Found the flashlight easy enough, being that it was the only light in that hellish darkness, and I can tell you, I was just about as grateful to have had the light as I had been to take that first breath of air again. I go back up, shining my flashlight up through the mud shit water, and I'd see what I'd suspected. Those eels and creatures weren't eels. They were legs and arms and pieces of rotted flesh. The entire roof of the chamber was covered with, well, dead women, VC women. They were all just bloated and floating face down, and their black hair was coming down through the water from the surface. The entire surface of the chamber was, more or less, a human carpet of death and decay. Bodies floating face down, their hair was hanging down from over their faces, and I was there and I'd seen it, and I had to swim back and push some of the bodies aside. It was difficult, and I wasn't too good just then, but I had gotten back up to the surface. I was just really in a bit of a state. I was in some sort. It was just that I was just, I guess, not feeling that well, because You know that there was the other. I said that she was breathing, right? Well, I had the gun out, and I saw her, and I blasted her. I still don't know. It was, I wasn't intending to, you see. I don't think I intended to. I don't think so. But I saw her, and she had this eyes wide open. Her eyes didn't even react to my light. She must have not been human, because that's why I shot her. I saw her there, almost right next to me, and she had those eyes. So I blasted her right there, and those eyes didn't seem no more. She was just gone with the rest of the dead. She had this long, wet black hair, like the rest of them, I guess. And she was shivering. I think I was shivering too, but she was breathing as well. The rest, they weren't. And she isn't now either because, well, after that...
Why is it written like
I took
this?
my mask and my gear, and I put all my gear on. I dove back under, and now all my gear is good. I'm good. Got my mask, my oxygen, it's all good, and I'm good. So I dive back under now
Okay.
and I search. I find another tunnel near the bottom that's leading further down. And near as I can tell, there's no other tunnels besides the one I came from. I consider going back through there, but I chicken out on the account of it being too narrow for my equipment to fit, and
What up,
overall
J.O.?
the unpleasantness of the whole previous experience. So I take the other passage and I tell myself, I
Sorry,
gotta go
it's
back
been
down
so
and get
low, I
back
didn't.
up.
Yeah.
This tunnel, it's a bit wider, and it goes down a ways, a real
Thank you
good
for stopping
ways.
by.
It ain't comfy and the water is murky as
How's
shit,
your night
but
going?
it's sure as shit better than the last tunnel. So I'm counting my blessings and swimming, and trying to not feel the tangle of her hair. But I'm still swimming down
Oh,
for
yeah.
a long time. Eventually I notice the walls aren't
Some
mud
of these
no
are
more,
pretty
but made
good.
of
The
some sort
octopus
of
one was
stone,
really
like
good.
a cave more than a tunnel. And
I was
there's
just
all
warming
sorts of
glue up and
creatures,
doing
fish with
spaceship
no
stuff
eyes,
while
strange sorts of bugs
looking at
and the
this.
sort.
FB, you still here? Did you guys send tickle pops?
I guess
Everybody
those
go.
VC tunnels tunneled in some sort of cave system. And after who knows how long, I came out of the tunnel into a chamber. This chamber, it was big, real big. Never
Tickle pop?
even
He's
saw no
gone.
roof or nothing with my flashlight. It was huge.
How does it
I
say?
was pretty
Oh,
much
okay.
astonished
Now
at
there's
the
3
sight,
people
quite amazed.
in there. What?
I was, well, it was a
That is
welcome thing to see
insane.
after the narrow passages and all the dead. It was very calming to see. That is until I started to hear it. It was breathing like before, just that it was bigger. I think bigger than I think it should have been. Louder, in any case. I was hearing it again, the breathing. I wasn't alone in there, so I tried to be quiet, real quiet, because it wasn't safe. So I follow the current because the water has to go somewhere. I find another passage and I follow it a while, and the current gets quite strong, and it basically is just tumbling me around in this current. And I figure after all that, it's goodbye, good night. I had a good run, but I'm being thrown around in a current who knows how deep underwater, leading to God knows where in the earth. And I've seen daylight for the last time. Out of nowhere, there's this absolutely blinding light and a thundering roar, and for a split second I must have thought I was dead. But then I was falling and I hit the water and I'm free, and I'm out in the daylight again floating down a river. And that's the end of the story.
Oh,
He had quite a
bullshit.
bit of trouble telling me this story. For
That
reasons I think
sucks.
are pretty
That one-
obvious.
that
I
would have
had
been
to
cool if
just
it was-
start working to discover the surface in the pack. The sonar was showing us spiraling movements upwards from the deep, searching for prey. Because they are deep squid, the Humboldt must talk to each other from the glowing skin. They changed the pattern, and each pattern has a meaning. though
Did you guys hear?
researchers
Let me
do not
find
know.
it, bro.
Pale
Dude,
blob
the
of
Fred.
flesh with drooping face, fleshy nose below
Here,
the
wait.
surface. He pointed to my cylinder and said something. His face wrinkled with me when I was a little kid. And in that instant, you are no longer the world's apex predator. You're in a much, much bigger pond.
Yeah,
Keep that in
bro.
mind if you ever go diving yourself. It might just save your life. Even a small thing could kill you. In this case, it was a moray eel. Now, morays are known for being vicious, but most people don't know that they're also very intelligent. I like to call them sea demons due to their disturbing combination of cold intellect and raw aggression. If one bites you, the best way to get it to let go is to cave its skull in. Otherwise, good luck getting it to let go. That in
Dude.
and itself isn't unusual, but when it's paired with the uncanny intellect, it gets a little bit scary. This moray in particular was the king demon of all sea demons. Not in
I didn't hear
size,
this
he
one.
was about average for an older moray. What placed him above all others was his pure
Dude, wait till you guys. I'll pull this octopus one up again.
dickishness.
This had me googling shit. Did you know that octopi, I guess would be the plural, would never know their parents? they have this like an ocular gland or something behind their eyes, and it just like after they mate and have babies, they just auto die. Like they just disintegrate. And dude, there's this story that was like it's so sad.
I felt something tug at them violently, and I spun around to be face to face with this fucking dickhead. I could just see how fucking smug he was, that stupid fucking face. He knew what he was doing, and I knew that he knew, and he knew that I knew. So I pull out my knife that I keep for defense against sharks and cutting myself free if I ever get loose, and I show it to him. See? Look, it's shiny. If I poke you with it, you die. He knew what I was doing, too. He didn't seem worried, and he backed off a bit. I kept an eye on him the whole way back to the shore. I swear the cunt performed a moray equivalent of flipping me off, and he finally swam away as I was nearing the shore. Moral of the story? Morays are cunts. Don't fuck around with them.
I didn't know they were
All
smart.
done with my own personal stories now.
I knew they could
This next story
mess
is
you up if
supposedly
they
bona
wanted
fide
to,
true.
but
Taken from the journal of a now deceased bio and get info.
hang on, where's
Very
the
unusual for this area and time of year. Back
Where's
to
the Fred
surface,
story?
But I kept swimming down, and eventually they stopped, circling me from a distance and making. I felt the tendril that had wrapped around bulbous protruding growths reaching up from the seafloor. Couldn't move.
it was after this
All
stuff.
around me were the same bulbous, writhing feelers that I quickly began to see several other familiar. I finally managed to flop inside. I guess whatever was down there didn't really appreciate having its lunch stolen. It's another story from Frank, if you remember him from one of the earlier deep sea threads I posted in. In case you weren't in those threads,
Is
Frank
that-
was my diving instructor. Absolute legend. Been around a while and seen lots of strange
Oh, no.
ages where the were down. Eventually, Frank had to stop and let him go, or risk dying himself. Possibly
Oh, come on. What?
grab the rope and try to cut it with my knife. See all sorts of shit when narcosis kicks in. I've heard stories of fish and squid with human faces. Some guy swears he was face to face with Cthulhu. Noted that I had friction burns all surrounding the cut, so my line was going straight down. He was one of his, from back before he left commercial diving to be an instructor, before they moved to the next drill site. The depth was an extreme, dozen long, thin tentacles that stretched. One aquatic spider species, but those
No,
usually
I passed
out,
it.
and
Where's
I'm
the
about to
Fred
be
story?
sucked with gas to avoid narcosis. I was around because visibility was extremely low. It must have been around off into the water a few moments ago. I've stopped. It's completely taut and rolling straight down at a blistering speed. It takes me being pulled up off the seabed. My boat. The old girl seemed pretty excited when I finally managed to flop inside. I guess whatever was down.
No, that's the
diver.
orca one.
There's lots of places with new diver trainees out on a dive for their
Frank, wait.
certification. Usually they start you out in shallow water. After a few dives, they take you out somewhere deeper. Frank goes out into the ocean a ways to get you used to the
No, it's
sheer
the one I was
drop-off.
looking at
Bad
before.
idea.
Where's the
Well,
one with the
something was off.
fucking
Looked back at me
octopus?
and smiled, then
Here's
pushed
another
away and
event vehicle. The grind must start again. What is
continued
it?
going straight down. Frank followed him for a bit and tried. It was never. This is the first story I posted on here.
Hang
Figured
on,
some
you guys
ants
gotta
would be
hear.
a
This
kid
is so
who hadn't
cool.
hit
It's
the
sad,
button.
but it's
It must have
really.
been
I
around
didn't
5
know
minutes
octopus
before we
were
saw it.
this smart.
Perfectly preserved without a sign of it alive, and to the bone. Open, try to cut it with my knife. For the line for me was that it was narcosis-fueled hallucination. Squid with human faces. To an extent, its notion wasn't hallucination. There who liked the few new tentacles and other type of ponds. To inform you,
Was it
even
after
water
the sea
sand
spiders?
above him. He stared up at it for a few seconds. Then it began to ever
Oh,
so
so it's
slowly
like top
move,
tier, top
dripping
tier.
the ocean floor as it moved the rest of the mass that must have hung suspended above, hidden frequently interesting a shiny, dangling object away from an teeth of one of the barracuda. 6 feet that has glowing beaches. Cook was before I have another the ocean things from in to take a look and entered the rock. In fact, it felt very soft and squishy.
Oh, right here.
For
Here it
a
is.
friend like this before I have to see lots of sailing. This is another one from Frank. Friend. Maintenance checkup on the local marina. He was checking on the moorings and making sure they
This
were in
is
good
so-
condition
listen
when
to
he
this
noticed
story.
Something strange. One
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
mooring
this is
chains
really
appeared to
cool.
be sticking straight out of a large rock on the ocean
I'm gonna
floor.
glue this piece of wood right
Frank
here and bring
moved
it in.
to take a look, and sure enough, the chain was somehow embedded in the rock. Perplexed, Frank felt around where the chain entered the rock and noticed something even stranger. The rock felt distinctly unlike a rock. In fact, it felt very soft and squishy, and it was looking at him. The color of the rock suddenly flashed to white, and then the entire thing vanished in a cloud of dark ink. You might have guessed it at this point, but Frank's friend is a Pacific giant octopus. They can weigh around 600 pounds and, if measured from tentacle to tentacle, can grow over 30 feet in diameter. They also have the ability to change color of every cell in their body, allowing them to mimic nearly any object on the sea floor. They're big, next to invisible, and can be very, very smart. So it was fortunate for Frank that this particular octopus, who he named Frederick, was just another prankster and not a serial killer, like some reports of giant octopus I've heard. Over the next few months, Frank would encounter Frederick on various dives, imitating some strange object, flashing light upon being discovered, and swimming away in a cloud of ink. After a while, Frank simply assumed that anything strange he saw was just Frederick playing a prank on him and ignored him, which would lead to Frederick tickling the back of his head while he wasn't looking or playing with the valves on his equipment. After being ignored one too many times, Frederick turned off Frank's oxygen regulator briefly before turning it back on.
Like, what?
After that, Frank made sure not to ignore him, and would occasionally bring toys or things down from the surface for him to play with. This odd relationship continued for most of the year until about January, where Frederick disappeared for several weeks. Frank said that he was relieved, but I think he was worried about what happened to his friend. Frank eventually found him at the same marina he had first seen him, wrapped around the chain and disguised as a rock. His skills of disguise seemed to have gotten dull, as the rock looked distinctly unrock-like and was covered in strange white spots. Frank waved hello,
Keep that in
his
mind.
customary greeting to Frederick, and after a pause, Frederick waved.
This broke my heart, man. Keep that in mind. That when he disappeared for several weeks and he came back in his rock, interpretation just seemed off and he was covered in white spots. Keep that in mind.
Frank waved hello, his customary greeting to Frederick, and after a pause, Frederick waved back. He flashed white briefly, then changed back into the color of a rock. Frank hung around for a while, but Frederick didn't seem to be interested in playing hide-and-seek or any other games, so he went back to his inspection. After a week of half expecting to spot Frederick somewhere out on one of his dives, Frank returned to the marina. Frederick was still there, wrapped around the chain. He was no longer disguised as a rock, and his skin was a bright red mottled with white spots. He waved at Frank, flashed white, and then turned back red. Frank had brought some fish with him, but Frederick refused to eat or move, staying anchored around the mooring chain. Frank came back the next day with a lobster, which was apparently Frederick's favorite food. He was still there, hugging the mooring chain. He refused to eat the lobster and didn't wave to Frank or flash white like he usually did. The next day, he was gone. Frank came back once a week for the next month before finally giving up on seeing him there again. Sometimes still, Frank will inspect strange rocks or objects he sees underwater, in hopes of seeing Frederick one last time. You can find lots of things at the bottom of the ocean. A friend isn't usually one of them.
That's so crazy.
And listen to this.
Did Fred die?
This broke my
Or was he
heart,
dying and then
bro.
went somewhere to die. Wow. Imagine this being living there, self-aware, wondering why it has this amazing intelligence, observing life, seeing a human being playing tricks, etc., and then finally saying goodbye. I don't know anything about
Not this.
stuff,
The next one's.
but it
Listen.
turning red,
I didn't
etc.
know this about
Sounds like
octopus.
he was dying and losing control over his body. The story is so sad. Octopus typically die soon after they mate. The females remain alive long enough for them to guard the eggs, but males develop a form of dementia and stop eating right after the mating is over. Their body basically self-destructs and consumes itself for energy until the death occurs.
Giant Pacific octopi are semmelporous. They breed once before death. After reproduction, they enter a stage called senescence, which involves obvious changes in behavior and appearance, including a reduced appetite, retraction of skin around the eyes giving them a more pronounced appearance,
Like,
increased
aww.
activity and uncoordinated patterns, and white lesions all over the body. While the duration of this stage is variable, it typically lasts about 1 to 2 months. Death is typically attributed to starvation, as the females stop hunting and instead protect their eggs. Males often spend more time in the open, making them more likely to be preyed upon. Fred became a dad.
F.
Have sex. Die. Would you and Ons do it?
Okay, I'm back. Got 2 more stories for those of you
Isn't
still
that
hanging
crazy?
around.
I
These
never
are
knew
from the same
that.
treasure hunter guy who told me the story
I'm too damn
about the
loud?
giant sea
Wait, what?
spider. He was deep out at sea, scanning the seafloor in an area known for shipwrecks
What'd I
to
do?
see if he could find anything. He'd been doing it for most of the day with no success. He turned away from the screen for a second to look at something else, and looked back barely in time to catch the tail end of an absolutely massive
Cool video. Smoking's bad for you. Look at that thumbnail. Are we gonna play a game for any amount of time? What did y'all want to see tonight? I got new videos out on literally every platform if you guys haven't seen them yet. Got stuff out everywhere. Oh, it's more spoopy stories. A little loud. Yeah, this is the one I used in the Steel Battalion vid. This one's good too. I've been finding a bunch of good ones recently. I'll bass boost it, ready? This one's really unique too, if this is the one I think it is. Listen to this shit. The bass is insane. I shouldn't have this bass boosted. This is gonna be crazy. Dude, that one bass hit is so cool. Dude, yeah, I know. I can't wait to get a nice car again. I love my car, it works, but man, do I miss having my Ford Explorer, man. This is an old Mod Trigger video. I don't think I've ever seen this one. Has he got a new one? I think I saw it, but I don't think I watched half of it because I was editing.
Yes, sir.
Is anybody else's YouTube doing that, by the way, either? Literally every video you click says this content isn't available and you have to refresh? Or is that because I have an ad blocker on? I have YouTube Red. I don't know why it would be screaming at me about.
Back up in this thing, man. Today, we'll be taking a look at some mysterious videos that'll keep you up at night. But before we hop into that, go ahead and spam that like button right now so we can run the numbers up on the algorithm. And you
I already did.
Later. And if you haven't already,
I'm a big fan, Mod Trigger.
Sub up. Join the family. This is the most lit and
actually
community.
Mad jealous that he found a way to talk about all of these topics without really talking about the topics. Like, he just showcases all of it. Like, that is awesome. Silence. Yeah, I remember this one. Yeah, I don't remember watching parts of this.
Ice cream. You might as well be.
Wait, go back. Yeah, that's just straight foam. You got. I'm not saying this is some health snob. I'm saying this because I don't want my friends and people that I care about eating foam in slop, bro. Don't eat. Oh, look I took a picture of it today. There was like this like Reese's thing or something in a Little Caesars where I was like, man, that looks pretty good. What are the ingredients? I took a picture of the ingredients of the back of this thing. One of them was, what is it? Where is it? It sounded so nasty. I was like, dude, people eat this shit, bro. Wait, no. Soybean oil, corn syrup, palm oil. Oh my gosh. Literally just, it's nothing, just fucking glop your, but, yeah, corn syrup solids? What the fuck are corn? Why would I want little solid chunks of corn syrup for a tasty treat in like a Reese's crumble chocolate bar? Dude, I was like, what the fuck is this, man? It's like not even food.
Sponge. That's disgusting.
Is that one like it?
Yeah, it's
He's
really
already
good.
eaten it. He's like, that's pretty good.
So this is a
This
little more
isn't
ice
even
creamy.
real.
Try that.
I wouldn't eat that.
I'm scared of it. Friars, you have some explaining to do.
Here's all the
Technology that we use.
cells for calling this ice cream. You might as well be eating on a frozen
Yeah,
French
it's-
cushion.
All the technology that we use today is from DARPA, which is a part of the government. They
I know
handle
for a
all of
fact
our
the
military
iPhone, all of
defensive
that is,
systems,
but-
offensive systems. They create all the technology that we use today. The first self-driving car was in 1984 by DARPA. So all the stuff that we think is brand new and amazing,
80s.
Ben had all this stuff.
I didn't know that.
The phone you have is from DARPA. Facebook, Meta, yeah, that's all DARPA tech.
I
They
know
all work
one
for
that impressed me was like the first fiberglass body, or it wasn't fiberglass, it was like the first plastic shell for a car or something was way earlier than you would have thought, and it looked cool because it was see-through plastic still. It was, you know, like the airsoft guns that are see-through where you can still see, it was like that, but imagine a car. Yeah, it was,
the government.
super
Why do you
weird
think
looking.
it's
It was like 30s, 40s, or 50s or something. Like, it was a crazy year for
because you're the product.
having something is a see-through plastic car.
The fact
you
that
know,
they're
like
giving us
or
ChatGPT
plastic shell
and all this
bodied,
great
you know.
technology, isn't it great? Man, they had this 30 years ago.
Is DARPA American?
DARPA is part of the government, yes. Think of it like SHIELD. You know Marvel?
Yeah.
They're SHIELD. They're like part of the shadow government, which they get all their funding from something called the Black Budget, which essentially is above the government. They don't listen to Congress or the POTUS seat. It can green light any project that they want from the Black Budget, and then just like, oh, okay, yeah, let's do this now. We don't have to have, the president sign off, Congress, nobody.
And this is gonna sound stupid, but I assume to get in that group with the black budget, you don't get elected.
No, not at all. I mean, presidents aren't elected; they're selected.
Shit nobody votes for. Have you ever realized that, how many things are going through all the time in bills being, and there's nowhere to go and vote. There's no vote.
This is why the for the 8th time.
So what
8th time
decisions
in a
do we
row,
have a
the
say in
Pentagon
exactly?
fails an audit.
Like-
Surprise, surprise. They just failed an audit again.
I feel like DARPA might be primarily responsible for why we have zero privacy with none of this new technology. Because if we look at some of their inventions, like LifeLog, for example, that eventually became Facebook, do you think they invented that so we can wish each other a happy birthday?
No. Why do you think it's free? How do you think it's all free?
There
Because
might be some quicker-
you're the product. That's the whole
But I
point.
feel like this machine might be motorized. Because if I was a ghost, the last thing I'm doing is working out.
There's a crazy conspiracy theory about why the 49ers are always so injured. And honestly, it's making sense. And it's all due to this electrical substation that is 100 yards away from the stadium and the practice field. And before we get into it, all credit goes to this guy who said this back in October.
Oh,
and
I
also this
glued
guy
that
who
piece
did a
of-
very detailed analysis on this issue. But since the Niners moved to Levi's Stadium back in 2014, they have been by far the most injured team in the NFL, and it's not close. And the 49ers alone suffer more Achilles and patellar tendon ruptures than the league average. Now, of course, many logical people were thinking, okay, it's got to be Levi's turf, or maybe just Kyle Shanahan being so aggressive. But when people started looking into this, they saw all these other teams playing at Levi's, and their Achilles weren't just rupturing out of nowhere. But apparently, according to retired 49er John Feliciano, this theory has been floating around the locker room for years. And by the way, if you want more sports
that it's
content
like
that
a
you don't see on
frequency or
ESPN,
something?
make sure you follow it. So this guy decided to put it to the test. And this man went to the 49ers practice facility with a Gauss meter to measure the electromagnetic fields. Now, apparently for a home or an office, the normal range is 0.5 to 3 milligauss. But at the far edge of the Niners practice field, it read an 8.
I don't have a Gauss meter, but I have an EMF meter. Here, wait a minute. Oh, I have a dosimeter too for like radiation. But check this, I actually have one of these. Look at. Guy, look! It's a ghost! Look, guys! Oh! I'm Ghost. Wait. No, I thought I was actually like pinging it. What would have? Oh, my phone. Here, wait. Oh yeah, check it out. Which side is the antenna? It's good. I wonder what it's pretty much nothing everywhere, but how would I like my mic? I'm sure my PC is putting off EMF and like the router and stuff. Yeah, okay. That's getting into the red on my router. Maybe that's not good to have next to me all day, every day. Maybe. I don't know. Dude, go check out the YouTube content and stuff, guys. Let me know you want it. I use this in the house tour video, but I have a bunch of full edited videos I haven't put because I
0.5 on a Monday
Nobody's
when
been checking out
demand
the
for
YouTube.
electricity was actually very low. Now I know what you're thinking because I was thinking this too. How the heck does this have
Oh,
any
here you go,
correlation
ghost
with
hunting
someone's
on
body?
one of the
Apparently there are
dash. I was
thousands
gonna
of
stop at a
peer-reviewed
cemetery
studies
or
that say
something
that
when it's
chronic
dark.
exposure to
You
these
try that just
low-frequency
for a
fields
video
can
and other
significantly
things.
weaken collagen, and collagen is a building block of tendons and ligaments. And this chronic exposure just makes those tendons and ligaments so weak that when a professional athlete goes to do professional athlete things, it just freaking explodes. And because the Niners have so many injuries, Kalshi is only giving them a 34% chance to beat the Eagles this Sunday in a playoff game. But let me know what you think about this. Is this crazy or does it actually have teeth? Because I'd say one of the biggest pieces of evidence would be Dre Greenlaw tearing his Achilles in the Super Bowl just by running on the field.
It wouldn't surprise me if this substation was contributing to all the injuries. The low frequencies probably vibrate your tendons like a guitar string.
I told you guys.
I do think there is something to that too with frequencies and stuff and like harmonics or what. There's probably some really cool shit to that we don't.
That
You know,
a small
could probably also really fuck us up too, but
of
probably
US
some really cool shit we could
crypto bros,
harness with that,
tech bros,
perhaps.
etc., created their own private city in the country of Honduras with their own laws, their own courts, and when the Honduran government tried to stop it, they were sued for billions and billions of dollars by that group of people. You know, with all this talk of U.S. imperialism right now in the modern day with what just happened in Venezuela with Nicolás Maduro, I want to talk to you guys about something really similar known as Prospera Honduras. Now, Prospera is not just some investment project or deal that these billionaires are pouring their money into. No. They are trying to use this specific island in Honduras as a template for what they want to do across the entire world. They call them sedes, zones for employment and economic development. So they run it basically like a private city state. They have their own tax code, their own laws, their own police, their own everything. They even have their own government, not elected by any Hondurans, literally on their own sovereign land, on Honduras' sovereign land. And they're marketing it as the Hong Kong of the Americas.
And number one reason why I feel like Prospera Island needs to be shut down is because it's also a hot spot for biotech companies to conduct unregulated medical research. So they could be cloning Bill Gates, and there's no way to stop them.
So ever since we've had this fog show up all around the world,
Unregulated medical research?
I'm gonna tell you what I
Why
think
would
it
that
is.
be? Why would
I
you
have ChatGPT
be
here.
actively going for that?
I'm gonna show you in one take, no edits. Let's see. Hello, can you hear me?
For sure, Jill.
Yes, I can hear you. How can I help? Explain
Did
to
you
me with a little
show
bit of
for a
detail
little
what
bit? We haven't done a game
smart
yet tonight. I was just watching this. I hadn't had anybody ask for a
consists
game
of
yet.
tiny wireless sensors, each as small as a grain of sand. These sensors can detect and measure environmental conditions, such as temperature, light, vibration, or chemicals. They communicate wirelessly and can work
I got a video of it today too, Steven. I don't know who you talked to for your flight school and stuff like that too. I watched a plane because I'm near an airport today. I watched a fucking, passenger plane start to make contrails as it got to the right altitude. The engines were putting out the trails, right? But they were disappearing. The trail only stayed for a little while and it disappeared. It's water. The condensation went back, and I took a video of it. That dawned on me. It's literally flying right next to all the sprayed shit. The lines that streak across in the sky and stuff, and that are permanent and just kind of sit there and like spread out and fall. Where I was like, oh, wait a minute. I was like, that wouldn't make any fucking, like, maybe it can make a cloud if it's freezing at the right, but it's all during the summer too.
Industrial automation and even military surveillance.
So if the military wanted to use this,
Yeah, I
to
got a
collect
video
data
of it. I
from
was like, oh
civilians or
my
anything
gosh,
they
I
really
totally
wanted, they
didn't
could do
even
that.
think about that. That, like, if it is condensating and turning into a trail, it would be just turning back into normal afterwards too. After it cools. That's not what I'm talking about. This is talking about smart dust, but the same fucking almost similar shit. Where I was like, dude, why are we doing that?
Ethical considerations.
Thank you.
I feel like it's very plausible that this fog we've been seeing is actually smart dust, because they didn't just invent it for no reason. They're using it somewhere.
This girl on TikTok is blowing up because she claims she's a mermaid, and
Oh
she's
my
showing
gosh, that's
proof,
the
not
fakest
makeup,
shit
not
I've ever
filters,
seen.
webbed fingers, needle-sharp teeth, and what looks like an actual tail. Every post she drops hits tens of millions of views. A
Stop.
2002 deep-sea recording captured something slamming.
That was
Whale
fake
washed
too.
up.
Okay, this
It's a
is.
real mermaid, and I
I
doubt
remember
she
that
ever
from
tripped.
back then. What?
Whatever recipe she used to make this, she needs to throw it away, because I don't think your ginger juice is supposed to be phase shifting like this.
I think I just invented the best security camera in the world. It's just a little Bluetooth speaker, a webcam, and a Raspberry Pi with an AI model told to convince people not to break into that door. Okay, I'm gonna pretend to be a burglar.
Smile. You're on camera.
Wow, it's actually really fast.
For real though. You know I can see you, right?
Yeah?
Also, who are you talking to?
Okay, can you hear me too? I forgot.
I can whisper too. I see you're recording me. So
I can
we are both
whisper
recording
too.
each other. Great. Then let's both agree not to do anything we wouldn't want to be sent to the police. There's a pit bull sleeping on the other side of that door, you know.
This is a cool concept. I don't think it's practical in real life situations, because a true burglar is just going to snatch it out the wall and put it in his bag before stealing the rest of the items.
When I was stationed in Iraq, I used to have to go into a lot of different rooms that had a lot of computers and screens to do a lot of different things for whatever reason that we were in there.
Oh,
One time,
check this out. I remember seeing this somewhere else, dude. Oh, some War Thunder? Yeah, the tennis ball. The humidity is high. It's probably, yeah, that's what I would think.
I went into a room that had.
And then it would, if the humidity is high, well, I wonder how it, the humidity in the surrounding air would be, how it retains and stays, I guess. I want to look more into. I want to read that. It's probably if I
like,
disappear,
this
it's
guy was
because I
sitting there
looked
with
into
three
this.
computer screens, and on one of his computer screens there was a map, and the map was not a map of the Earth. It
Damn,
looked
where
like a
did we
map
go?
of the Earth, but it caught my attention because
This
when
was
I
cool.
looked-
I wanted to show us the craft and everything, because this was talking about, like, have you ever seen those maps where it's like, what is it talking about? The ice wall and all. Dude, look at
looked at it,
this
it
is
just,
a
like,
crazy
looked the wrong
story.
shape, right? So I started looking at it, and I was like, the Earth was like in the middle, and there was shit outside of it. Now this was a room that map would literally not have been in. Like there was no way that this map. I've told this story on my TikTok before. There is no way that this map was in this room. Like it wasn't real. There was no. These computers were not allowed to have people's cute little backgrounds and on them. And this wasn't a cute little background. It was a map that was being monitored. Anyway, he was doing something. I was waiting for him to do something, and he notices me just completely lost in this map because my blabbers were gasted. I was realizing that this was a map, and in the middle, I saw all of the countries of the world that we know, and there was on the outside. So I'm looking, right? I'm like, what the is this? Because it said that why does that say Asgard, right? Anyway, so I'm looking at it, and I'm like, what the right? And he looks at me and just very matter of fact, it was like, no one's gonna believe you. And I just like, it's like, I know.
I'm not a flat earther, but it kind of sounds like the Beyond the Ice Wall map or a map of inner
Yeah,
Earth.
one of those. That's what I was talking about.
2024, Stanford researchers posted the results of a study on digital twins and personality capture. 1,000.
Weird. I've thought that didn't the the mustached people that follow the mustached man, the certain time of year, back to history, war, but didn't they do a bunch of weird underground research with twins and stuff like that? Like, I thought I heard about that. They were looking into weird things with twins. Let me close DaVinci real quick again. I can play for like a round or two. It's already real late. I gotta get to still gluing all this other stuff up too. Go check out the YouTube stuff when I'm offline if you guys can. I mean, it was bad today. I don't know why everybody's just been boycotting the content. I mean, like, look at... I mean, like, guys, I have... Where everybody at? I make a cool new videos for you guys almost every day. Oh, Steven, the one today was literally had 1 like, 1 comment, and it was FB, and me was the most recent one. Yeah, YouTube's been where it's, dude. It's either the stupid shit that we don't care about takes off, or the stuff that we tailor make for people to see and take part in everything just gets like 2 views. It's like, okay. Oh, I gotta schedule myself for Dash. Oh, jeez. Well, thank you for checking that out, Tuesday. We found some cool new people from the YouTube streams. I've actually been kind of hopeful with that recently. Plus, the YouTube streams, that's all we need. For YouTube to be monetized and for us to get income from that, what they've owed us for forever, all we need is watch time. Dude, I'm begging and pleading, but if anybody's got spare time or your YouTube algorithm, your page is just feeding you nothing, go watch the old RC things, or like the BV23 out, and go back and read the Backrooms series or something, man. More of that's coming, but I need to see people watching. I have stuff made up, but I can't put it out if it's like just gonna get 2 views. I need help. Oh yeah, you were at 5'7", right? Happening? J.O. What's to do around? Ain't no way I'm getting through that 85. Oh, I can get through his turret. Oh, Steven. How did he bounce, bro? That is insane. Come on, I hit the fucking machine gun again. No way. Come on, let me get this tiger. Yes, that feels good. I'm dead. That's a fucking dog. Don't. Oh my gosh, dude. War Thunder is so. Oh. This tog. Oh yeah. No, I don't think so. Surprising. There's one out in the skyscrapers. He's hiding back behind those buildings. I just thankfully spotted him. Well, I almost ran into a building. Woo! Sea fire. He ain't got no rudder. Okay, we're good now. He would have been extremely dangerous.
Next morning they coming at my neck, said I'm fucking
Whoops. Is somebody shooting at me? Out of ammo. Okay. What up? Reet Griffin? I thought that was, I almost misread that as like Pete Griffin. How's your night going? Night? Night, huh? Oh, like nighttime for me? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, show, Joe. This one's about over. We'll get you in for another. Well, thank you for following. We're live every night. For sure, yeah. We'll probably only do one more game. A game or two. It's super late for me and I gotta get to... Well, I don't know. If I'm doing the spaceship stuff, I may as well stay live. If you guys want to... There's one person over on Kick. It's been so quiet tonight. Yeah, if you tune in tomorrow, we're live every night, Reed. We only do one more here. What's your username? Same username as Twitch? Go 5'7" if you guys can. Steven's grinding. That's the highest he's got. Look at your profile. Meanwhile, we're probably gonna get started here soon. Ready, Joe? You a 6-0? What about it? It's cool. It's 6-0? Wait, who's this? You're not doing 5-7? Wait, no. This is every time. Which one are we doing? Which one are we doing? I think that's like the general War Thunder experience is saying, guys, let's do VR, and then everybody doing a different VR. Yeah, was that an up VR? Is that like recent? Salamander. That's cool. How close is that game, Reed, to being over? Oh, is it? Oh, here. You need another invite? Oh, I can't send you another. Yeah. I've been finding some heat recently. I'll put it in the public playlist and stuff for everybody who's soon. I've been mixing. You guys watched the YouTube short today too. There was one of them that FB was asking for. Yeah, that's. I want that to be a low-key goal too with the short form content, is helping other lesser known music artists also get a little coverage if I can. Like Hyper Verda, I've been meaning to hit him up and tell him I'm gonna start trying to get his stuff out there in particular more. We're doing 6-0 again? Wait, are we doing 5-7 or 6-0? Let's do 5-7. Dude, we already all just switched the VRs to 5.7. Here, just switch up to 5.7 like we've been saying for the past... yeah. Let's go to 5.7. You guys catch that one too. Listen, this was the one in the Steel Battalion edit today. Two different songs. I love that one. Ready? Here we go. How going, Crafted? How going? No, Crafted just popped in a minute ago. It looks like. Yeah. That's sick. We're gonna keep trying it with America, or are we gonna here? Let's just let it run. Take a dab. Oh, we got one. That cat point is fucking mine. Hide, Steven, hide. No. Bro, come on. Nice. Ambush him. Oh, that was, I saw him. I just realized that was a tank, bro. Fucking so small, I didn't think it was anything. How far are you in Germany, Jo? fuck does this guy keep getting ankles out of? How is everybody dying? What is going on? Why am I the furthest one forward? Okay. Germany suffers hard. What up, mashed potatoes? How's your night going? I don't know what just happened right there. We went and capped that super fucking early. And I was all the way up here and just watched the entire team get wiped the whole way back. I don't think we should take our plane. Let's try helping the ground, if we can. I've got like the Tiger 105, the old school, you know, like the original mouse, the removed ones. They do this. If I'm being honest, I hate this game. I would not be playing this if everybody else didn't have fun with this and want to play with me. This game used to be so much better, but they've ruined it. You can play a Tiger 2 now and go up against Cold War and Vietnam era tanks. It's okay with the makes sense. We're done there. I try not to mash potatoes if I'm being honest. This was gonna be the last thing tonight. I started late tonight. It was super quiet. Are those for me? I don't know. I think they were. You just missed. Oh, come on, dog. We're so dead. Oh. Come on, man. Literally everybody is just out of shot. And there goes another. Please don't do it. Come on. game is annoying. The volumetric update and fucking busted so much shit. I feel like there's weird instances where just like you know something should have happened or it just don't make no sense. You said it's more realistic. It's fucking ass. That's what it is. Yes. Yes! Do they really favorite Russia? Is that it, dude? Because Germany got its cheeks clapped, man. Got all of its lineups messed around with, everything moved around, vehicles removed. But you're not realistic, as if this game's a good note of what's realistic. Yeah, but keep adding other prototypes and everything else for who knows why. This, though, not allowed. Dude. Fucking ass hats. Catch up. Like with what? The Russian vehicles are the most detailed. Are they? Germany's got some good detailed ones, but I guess what you mean, like flushed out models. Yeah, covered in kit and gear and stuff. Bits and bulbs. Oh, Reese, I know, yeah, if that's the case. I think they should go all out. If you were, back in the day when I played World of Tanks, when I, like, on a laptop, when I was first gaming, it was, they had some really cool experimental heavy tanks for Japan, too, that I think they should just add. Just put all the more vehicles. It's a vehicle game, bro. They were like the OI and they were huge. It would be so cool to have in game. Here, just for you guys. Guys, you ready? I haven't heard from Hunglo or Quackjack. Yeah, I was late tonight. Yeah, if you guys are new here, make sure to tune back in tomorrow, and we're live every night. We're going to be doing it again here soon. One of a kind game. You literally will not see anybody else live streaming it. Might do it again tomorrow. Believe it or not, this is an Xbox controller, an original Xbox controller. That massive thing on the ground there. It's an Xbox controller. And with these. Fielded tank battles only. I know! I love I want to love War Thunder, man. This used to be my everyday game. I used to boot this up every day after work to have fun and stream it. I wish they would do something too where it was like a mixed one, where it was all three, naval, ground, and air. Like, they're horrible at making maps. They can't fucking design a map to save their lives. Okay, you ready? Come on, let's launch an emitter. How close are you to the next tank, Steven? Chevrolet Silverado. Ah, no, I don't know where everybody went. I think it was War Thunder. I think it was because it was strictly War Thunder every night, and it was back when War Thunder was fun. Ready, Reet? Take a dab. While we're waiting for Reet. Boom, Italy. Oh, you have 5-7 Italy, J.O.? That's interesting. I didn't expect that from you. That'll probably work a little bit better. Good idea. Yeah, I think I might have to soon. I gotta get to work tomorrow. I'm sorry for starting so late. We've only been up for 2.5 hours. This has been, if you're new here, again, this is our full-time gig. This and delivery driving. So you guys chilling and having fun and just chilling is greatly appreciated, man. It means a lot. Who am I talking to? Huh? Like madly. I know we've been doing this. This has been our full time. Just threw it.
Legalize nuclear bombs.
Legalize nuclear bombs. Oh, come on. Yeah, makes sense. The R6. Oh, yeah, they do have good wheeled stuff, man. I want the Centauro for Italy. All the 8-wheeled, like that one for Sweden that I got, that one event vehicle, the 8x8s that are like tank destroyers. It's like one of my favorite kind of military vehicles. I think this is so cool. I used to in Arma, in like those survival kind of PvE servers where you build bases and like go on missions and stuff and acquire the awesome servers. I used to run with one of those as like my personal, like nobody else in it. I would just drive it and get my gun receipt and use that for storage all by myself. Something like that. No! Oh, that was such a good side shot. Fuck. I blew it. I blew it. Ah, fucking 50 cals, man. So dumb. Oh, why do I have 10 shots? I guess it's okay. I have an ammo box. 10 shots is okay. Come on, let's go get C back. I don't know, Steve. I don't know. I'm slow on the visual. Well, that game was quick. What the fuck? Oh yeah, white. Nice. I didn't look at the scoreboard. I didn't do nothing. You and I didn't see anybody. That game like started and was over with in like an instant for me. You guys got in that first skirmish and that was it. I gotta call it there for the night though, everybody. I appreciate it. Everybody knew, man. Make sure to follow up. We're live every night. Mesh, and if you're still here, read every night. I was super late for tonight because it was. Everything's been slow, and I was driving a little later to try to make up and make ends meet. But yeah, a ton of stuff is coming out, and new stuff tomorrow as well too. If you guys go check out the YouTube side of things, I'll put the house tour video up and things tomorrow. I got the voices of the Void Wood and everything, but I can't just smack it up there if it's just gonna get if FV is gonna be the only one to check it out. I appreciate it. Some of the other ones have done really good, thankfully, but we'll see. I need help from y'all. It means a lot. We're on everything, by the way, too. YouTube, X, Instagram, TikTok, all the same name. Rumble, even. I know Rumble's like considered political or whatever. I just put funny videos and gaming shit up there, and it still does all right for being Rumble. What? I'll catch y'all tomorrow, man. It means the world. And Patreon too. And it's all. I know when you hear Patreon, you think it's all for free. It's all just drawings and shit. You catch stuff like this. Like this is one I literally just did today. This is the head for one of the heavier units that I plan on doing. I shouldn't even be showing this live, but all that's up there. If you want to look at lore and drawings and like what the Discord is and what being a jump trooper is gonna be. But trust. Oh, why? Because I'm gonna be doing Steel Battalion or something. Yeah, maybe we'll be doing something for sure different. And much earlier. I won't be starting at like damn near 3 a.m. Have a good one, everybody. I love y'all. Peace, J-Ho, Steven, Crafty, if you're still here. Appreciate it, guys. Catch me tomorrow. Love y'all. See you then.